Oh, hi everyone, and welcome to the stream. Today, we've just landed. I literally got in 2 hours ago, set up the stream, and boom, here we are. No green screen today, but there'll be one very, very, very soon. Well, everyone, whilst I post things like social links, Patreons, merchandise, and other things in the chat, why don't we go around and introduce ourselves? I'll hand over to our wonderful keeper for today, who is giving me the give me a minute signal. So our social links. You're good. Okay, I'll hand over to Charlie, who is at Frost from Fire. Oh hi!
I just realized my chair was up higher, and so you can see the top of my green screen. So I've just descended. I've descended into the darkness, into the depths of my tiny little space. And today we are returning to the jury, Call of Cthulhu. I am very excited to be playing today. I spent all day just walking around thinking about this game and thinking about what could happen. But really, I'm not in control of this story. This story belongs to the 4 wonderful players that we have here today. Last week was really exciting for me because my first ever time DMing, keepering, storytellering Cthulhu, and we began in our setting of Privacy, New York. Letters had arrived for all 4 of our characters, Bert, the private eye, Lucia, I want to call her a mole, but I'm not sure if she'd like that title, but daughter of the mob and cafe owner, I think is how we'll frame her. Helena, the writer and art student, and Eddie, the occult and historical artifact expert. Is that fair, would you say?
Yes.
Yes.
More than fair.
They all assembled in the courthouse and were met by Mr. Sparks, who would be their jury secretary, a blustering man with a large cigar who promises to look after them, but perhaps a few of them are questioning the nature of that. They all did make their way eventually into the courthouse after a long and strange wait. And in the courthouse, they met the prosecution and defense teams for the trial they would be sitting on. Anna, let's ask you. How did Helena feel during her interview? Because you went first, I believe, for your jury selection. Is that right, or did Lucia go first?
I don't think I went first. I think
Didn't Bert go first and then not?
Yeah. Someone else went before me because I remember listening to their questions and getting ready.
Well, let's go to you anyway. So how did Helena feel during that process, and what was that experience like?
She was a little rattled because the questions were kind of intense and one after the other, and she wasn't really prepared for exactly what they were going to ask since everyone was a little bit different, but she felt confident afterward and a little bit more sure of herself, and happy to be selected. I believe we're like 100% selected, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So she's happy to be selected and ready to get this going and see where it heads.
Someone who wasn't so happy to be selected was Eddie. Let's talk about that, Travis. What could you tell people who maybe didn't see last week about Eddie's experience of jury selection?
Well, as so often happens, Eddie would rather be anywhere other than where he is, and was none too happy to be selected to be on this jury. Pretty dismissive of whatever it is we're here to talk about. I don't want to be in a room for however long this is going to take with a bunch of strangers, and so he's got a lot on his mind, and did his best to get out of jury duty. That was definitely the highlight of last week for me, was fight like hell to get out of jury duty, and of course failed miserably. And there's something about that defense attorney. I don't know, something's going on with him. This must be a trick of the light, saw something weird, but went on with my day. And so yeah, he's not happy about being on the jury.
And on the
Bad
subject
timing.
on the subject of seeing something weird, Lucia had quite the day. Would you like to discuss some of your wild magic experiences?
Yeah, that was just, I think Lucia and Helena got thrown into a very dark space very quickly, where we had effectively the statue Lady Justice come alive, and now Lucia thinks that there's also someone following her constantly, especially when there's no one. It was specifically when there's no one
In a
else
dark
about.
place, no one else is around.
When no one else is around, she believes there is someone following her, which I think has her pretty rattled right now.
And finally, Bert, you had a good nap and a good drinking session on your first day at court. What was Bert's overall experience, and how did he feel when he finally made it home?
Bert's reaction was, you know, he was expecting this. It was much as he expected. He was honestly slightly surprised. He expected they found out that he worked in law and private investigation and they'd turn him away. But he's sitting on the maybe bench, and, you know, he's ready for another long day, so, you know, he went home and got himself another brown bag, and he's ready.
Alright, so my question for you all today, because we always start with a question. 2 of you receive a telephone call this morning, and 2 of you receive something interesting in the post. Who would like to receive the telephone call? If you raise your hand.
If no one does, I will.
Alright, that's Lucia and Eddie for telephone calls, which means Helena and Bert get something interesting in the post. So let's start with Eddie. Eddie, you passed out, if I remember, somewhere adjacent to a bed or a sofa, reading one of your books, correct?
I was reading one of my books and having my super deluxe Paris flashback complete with sweet accordion music and baguettes and coffee and dreams of how I looked not even 10 years ago when everything was going great in Gay Perry. So, and then yes, and if I remember correctly, I fell violently to sleep after that.
And you had a disturbing night. You had a night of men with eyes that are like the void, that give you existential crises when you peer into them. You had a night of very dark Paris streets, chased by rippers and ghosts. And you had a night where you had a call where all your money was gone.
Yep.
And the phone rings. And part of you still believes you are asleep.
Hello.
Hey, Eddie! And it's your familiar friend, your manager of sorts.
Yeah. Hey, I forgot his first name. What's his first name?
I can't remember.
Fingers. He goes by Fingers. This is
Fingers,
Fingers
yeah.
O'Toole.
Fingers O'Toole, correct.
I'm just gonna call him Fingers. Hey, Fingers, how's it going?
It's going good. How my favorite client?
Your favorite client is asleep and has jury duty in the morning. So, what in the hell do you want?
You don't want a job? You don't want work? You call me every week. You want work. You want work. You need money.
No. I just it's 5 a.m, so you'll have to excuse me. So yeah, no. What do you got?
I got a shipment coming into the city next week.
Shipment
And
of
I
what?
need you to take a look at it. Someone wants an expert.
All right. Well, look at you. You actually found something. Okay. Well, you let me know where I'm supposed to be and when, and we'll give it a look. I could use the work.
All right. And you hear papers shuffling, and you have the sense that this is a guy who has been up for like 24, 48 hours. There's definitely coffee fumes just filling this room, and there's papers going everywhere. And he says, Doc 4, crate 305. And he gives you the rest of the specifics of which dock, etc., etc. And he says, Tuesday, 3 o'clock.
And this is real, right? This isn't going to be another box of teddy bears, right? I mean, this is actually something worth me going down and looking at.
Wow,
You know what this is?
Teddy bears, they're going to pay an expert to look at them.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
And I told them you're the...
I knew you were good for something. Go ahead.
All right. I'll call you tomorrow with some more information. And he hangs up.
All right. Ugh. I hang up too. And, you know, that guy drives me completely crazy, but he's basically my only source of income at this point. So you do what you got to do.
So this for you is good news, but in bad news, next week you are still due to be on jury service.
That is bad news. I'm going to be in 2 places at once. I have to figure that out. When do I have to go look at it?
3 o'clock on Tuesday next week.
3 p.m.
Dock 4,
right.
Crate 305.
That part I got. All right. Well, we'll figure it out. I get dressed.
All right. Helena, you wake up entangled with another body that you are very familiar with that seems almost part of your own. And there's the sound outside of your door of Lucia dishing out the post, as your landlady tends to do. And you hear a thud of mail hitting your mat. How does Helena continue with her morning?
I will go to my door first of all, put on like a robe or something just to go to the door. Is the post outside of my door, or is it like down the
Lucia,
hall?
would you leave it on the mat or would you slide it under the door?
Probably just leave it on the mat. Don't want to intrude at all.
Okay, so I would just quickly open the door and kind of look out, make sure no one can see inside my room, and then grab that and then close the door quickly. Take it to the bed, sit on the edge of the bed, and kind of open it there.
Okay, who would you expect post to be from?
It's very likely that it is from either my society back in New York or my father.
Okay. Today you do have a letter from your father. And it is an invitation of sorts. The implication is that you should show up for dinner next week. But he kind of has a roundabout way of framing it so that it's not you have to turn up to dinner next week, but that's the vibe. It's all hidden in words and sentences. And underneath that note, which is written on the Hawthorne headed paper and is all very Upper East Side, as you've kind of come to expect, is another letter. This one is stained with a coffee ring on it, and it's addressed to H. Hawthorne. There's no Miss, Mrs., Mr., just H. Hawthorne, and literally the apartment number, the room number. It doesn't have the rest of the address on here. What do you do with this note?
So, it doesn't have any name or return address or anything from who it's from.
Like the back of it is just like stuck down with the gum of the envelope, and there's nothing to tell you who it's from on the outside.
Okay, I would open it.
Okay, opening it up, you recognize the handwriting as the same as the original letter you had that contained your jury summons. The jury summons that you know you should never have received, not being a resident of Privacy, New York. And it says, "Wait out. The jury will change and a new trial is coming."
Okay.
And it's written up on a typewriter in a very much a telegram style, so very limited wordage is going on, and that's all it says.
And would I know who this is from?
You, unless you know who that original note was from, which I don't believe you've ever figured out, you
Yeah.
don't know who this is from.
Okay. So I'm probably pondering that, but not
You
too
very much
worried.
know that whoever this person is must be nearby because they've obviously delivered this letter by hand to this building. There's no postmark or anything on it,
And they know my room number.
and they know
Correct.
your room number.
Okay, that's kind of creepy.
Hey, Lucia, you had a phone call much earlier in the night compared to the rest. You'd been dreaming blissful dreams. What would Lucia? What's Lucia's happy dream? What is her that one dream that recurs? It's like her happy place dream. What is she dreaming?
She's probably dreaming of just talking to her mother. Like literally, that's it. Maybe working together in the cafe. Just simple things like that.
Okay, so you dream of you're actually in the kitchen in the cafe,
Mm.
and you are baking with your mother her her secret recipe, a cake or a pie or something. It's a bread. It's an Italian bread, and you haven't made this bread since she died. And it's strange to you because she never cooked in the kitchen that you're currently using. But you're in this happy place and you're making bread with her, and she's being reassuring, and she's back, kind of going on as she normally does about her dreams for you and the wonderful life you're going to lead and your family. And as she's talking about your brothers and she's saying, you know, you got to look out for them, Lucia, the phone rings. And you awake in your dark, empty room.
First of all, she thinks she sees something out of the corner of her eye and jumps back against the wall, and once seeing that there's nothing there, she sort of nervously wraps one of the sheets around her and opens the door to go towards the phone, constantly checking behind her after this.
Yeah, I think the phone for this building, we're going to say, is in the hall outside of the apartments, because this is upstairs in the cafe.
Yeah.
So they've wired it so the phone's like outside in a little commune area. But it's about, you would guess, about 4 a.m. It's still really dark. The sun hasn't begun to come up yet.
And she reaches over to the phone sort of cautiously, but then at the same time, she's probably used to phone calls at this time of night, just normally for her brothers. She's
Yeah,
like,
it's definitely like not your first phone call.
yeah. And
And-
she reaches,
Along with that feeling of being watched is probably not a good feeling to have.
yeah, it's not a combination she wants. And she reaches out and she takes her and she's like, good morning.
Lucia! Lucia! You just hear the shouting of your name, and it's your middle brother, Aiden.
Aiden, calm down. What is it?
He's shot, and there's just a sound of chaos on the other end. The sound of an engine running. The sound of what could be gunshots, could be explosions. It's noisy. And you're fairly sure that your brother Aiden can't hear you.
Aiden, can you hear me? Like she said, what is going on down there? Where are you?
And for a while, it seems almost as if the phone line is cut out. You just have that kind of dead, staticky noise. And the operator comes through. Hello?
Hello?
It appears your call has been disconnected. Can I put you through to someone?
Who was I just talking to? What number was that?
Bear with me one moment. And she kind of goes, and you hear the sound of whatever they're doing on the other end, the sound of wires maybe moving around. And she comes back. That was the dairy on Cherry Lane, Privacy, New York.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And she hangs up and immediately goes back to her room and dresses in a pair of like trousers, throws on one of her brother's shirts and jumper, and then goes straight down to the bar and grabs the shotgun.
Yeah.
All right. So, I assume you make it your way through town.
She will get into the truck, one of the pickup trucks, and just have it underneath the seat and have one of their caps on as well, sort of trying not to show her face, and work her way to the dairy.
All right. As you get down to the dairy, you actually see that the fence has been broken and cows are spilling out across the road. Sleepy cows, confused cows, startled cows. And they're kind of making their way down towards town, not really sure what to do. There's the clanking of bells on some of them.
And she sort of slowly just drives past and is looking. If she's not going to do anything unless she hears gunfire or anything.
Okay, make a spot hidden check for me, please.
I'm not good at these, if I remember correctly. Okay. Yeah, I failed. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna give you the choice. There's something called a push roll.
Okay.
Whereby you can re-roll this, but you have to accept whatever the roll is. And if you fail again, there will be a consequence. But given that this is an emergency and Lucia is being vigilant, I will.
Yeah, no, she'll roll again.
Okay, so roll again. Okay. As you
Oh.
are driving along and squinting into the darkness between the bovine mass that's moving around, you think you see a figure. It's probably maybe one of your brothers. You're not sure. They're kind of crawling through the dirt, and at that moment, the truck hits the verge at the side of the road, and it slides, and you go careering into a tree, causing a large bang, throwing you forward because there are no seatbelts in the 1920s,
No.
and smacking your head hard against the steering wheel.
She's just like, and like just checking her head to make sure she's not bleeding or anything, and then sort of quickly opens the door, pulling the shotgun towards her chair, not out of the car, and sort of quite hazily, like looking at the car, I'm assuming completely wrecked.
Car, you can see just smoke is just pouring out of that engine where you think you probably damaged the radiator.
Yeah, she looks at it and it's just like,
No, we didn't, Scrap.
and she looks towards the thing or the person crawling towards you to say, "Who's there?"
The figure on the ground just groans. There's probably about 100 meters between you. I don't know what that is in feet and yards.
She will
Feet, whatever.
approach sort of quite hurriedly, but still not too short skirt. She thinks she's being followed anyway, so she's not sure, and she approaches.
As you make your way across the field, that stinging head, you do feel there is blood beginning to trickle, and being a head wound, it just continues to seep, and it's dripping into your eye, and it's already dark out here. And a cow looms out of the dark and just moves at you.
And she's just like, almost like pushes it away, like literally just moves it. And she takes her scarf off, which she probably would have wrapped around, and just starts holding it to her head.
Do you have first aid?
Oh god, if I do, it's probably not good. Yeah, I can roll for it.
Yeah, let's do that, and we'll just see how well this.
It's a fail. It's another fail.
So you hold it too, but this scarf is probably of a fairly thin, decorative nature, and you can just feel like it's not gonna stop this bleeding, but it helps for now. And you make your way across the field, and there, laying in the mud, all on his own, is your brother Marcus.
And she runs straight to him, and she's just like, "What have you done now?" And she just sort of looks him over to see if anything's broken or anything.
Looking him over, you actually see very significant gunshot wounds bleeding through his white shirt, which is also caked in mud and cow dung manure.
Marcus, what happened?
The cops.
We need to get you into the truck, okay? And she just starts to try and pull him.
Alright, do you have medicine if you don't have first aid? It's a very good skill.
If I'm not good at...
Lucia does have a nat 20 an advantage and a nat 1.
Perfect, thank you.
Can I use the nat 20 to just try and patch him up? I don't know how that works with this. Is that...
Alright, so as a nat 20, it's considered as an extreme success, which is as good a success as you can get. And I will say that you're not medically skilled.
I really am not. I've just seen this.
So the way this will work is that you managed to get him to the truck alive. But you know that Marcus is in really bad shape, and the entire way he's talking about a dirty rat. He won't stop talking about this dirty rat. He won't tell you what happened. It's just over and over. There's a dirty rat.
Okay, we need to get you home first and get this. And she's trying to get him in the van, and she's gonna hop straight in. And
have a wild magic surge specifically for Marcus, otherwise I wouldn't interrupt.
Okay.
And she's immediately gonna start driving.
Kindly roll a surge for your very injured brother.
Oh yay! What is the die on this now?
430?
No, it's more than that now. I believe it's 442. Give me a second.
All right. So
As
we'll-
I
Of course it was
get it up.
if you put that in chat when you're ready, Scrap.
It is. It's 442.
Perfect.
442. 369.
Nice.
I'll paste that to you, Charlie. Karen.
Okay, thank you. So you get him into the truck, and the truck unfortunately is not starting in this condition. But he does eventually, before he passes out from pain and blood loss, give you an address. And he indicates to you that this is where he wants to be taken to. And luckily for you, it's not far from here.
What? And she sort of thinks about questioning, then remembers who she's talking to, and is like, fine. And she just hops in the car and heads to the address, like constantly looking to see where she's going.
Okay, do you have mechanical skill?
I think I'm useless at everything.
Oh, come on.
I have mechanical repair. I don't see
It would
mechanical.
be very helpful
skill.
because right now your truck isn't going anywhere.
Yeah, this is going to be a fail. Yeah. I don't know what Lucia's good at.
You have an advantage to use up as well, though, if you want to.
Can
use
I
it.
use that? Because
Yeah,
this is...
Roll again. That's fine.
Yeah.
And we'll take the higher of the two.
It's not going to be good. I've got a 10 in mechanical repair. Yeah, no, 92.
Okay. So you get out of the truck, and I imagine Lucia in the dark, panicking, is doing everything she can to stop it, and there's steam pouring up, and it's not a good sign. And you just hear Marcus groan, and inside of you, like, that sets off that panic. Like, that sounded like a death groan to you, even though you don't know if it is, and that makes you abandon trying to fix this truck because it's dark. You're on your own. You're panicking. There's bad stuff going on.
Yeah. She just wants to get out of there and get him to wherever he apparently wants to go.
So I will say, given Lucia's nature, that she manages to drag, carry, whatever she can to get her brother down to this address. It's muddy, it's messy, it's nerve-wracking. You get the sensation that you're followed the entire way, but you can never see anyone.
She will take the shotgun with her because she's not trusting anything right now.
Okay. That makes it a tiny bit more difficult, and it takes you a little bit longer, but you get there and you bang on the door, and out of the house comes a man dressed in like a little night hat, and he's got the matching pajamas, and yes? Oh, he doesn't even need to ask, because he sees the blood pouring out of you, he sees the man, and he waves you in. And
Do I recognize him at all, or?
you would recognize him as someone who comes into the cafe.
Mm-hmm.
You think he is a vet or something of that nature. He's not a doctor. You know he's not a doctor, but he's a vet. Something like that. He works with animals.
Mm.
And he and his wife take in your brother. And after his wife sees to you, she patches you up, she dismisses you. She sends you as far away from the house as she can convince you to go.
She's like, what about my brother? I'm not going anywhere.
We look after him. We look after him. You go, go, go.
He is on death's door, do not think. And she sort of makes sure they can see the shotgun under her arm. She's like, this is my brother.
This is a haughty Italian woman, if you've ever seen one. She is strong and lithe, and she strikes you with the back of her hand. She's not having you tell her how this is gonna go.
And she sort of like just checks her face and sort of nods and understands immediately. So, you better come out alive. And she just leaves.
Good girl, you go. And
And
there's
she
like
turns
another.
and runs. If she can run, she'll run.
And you run, and you make it back to your house before light is breaking. Unaware of where your two other brothers are. With Marcus, you know he's being taken care of. You have that sense within you, but it's still hit and miss as to whether you're going to get your brother back.
Yeah.
And as morning comes, the post arrives, as it normally does just before you open up the cafe, and you dish out the post to your various tenants. I think you only have Helena there at the moment, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's literally just Helena at the moment.
And that is your night. But
That was awesome.
you
Good.
definitely were passed out somewhere. And you were pretty sure you made it back to your house. You were pretty sure that was your house because Eddie was there with you. You vaguely remember Eddie helped. But when you wake up, you're not in your house. You are led on your front lawn, staring up at the sky. You can hear the birds in the tree that's in your front yard. And there's the sound of the town is very much within the midst of its morning throes. The postman has just walked back up your small little pathway and kind of gives you a morning and carries on his way.
This me?
Yes.
Ugh. It's one hell of a night.
You did have one hell of a night. What is Bert's worst nightmare?
Oh, Bert's worst nightmare.
The one he's had since he was a child. That
It's
pops out when he's most fearful.
oh, okay. His worst fear is it was he's not really sure exactly what could have happened, but his worst fear is of his childhood. He was in a powerless situation. Perhaps a father or an uncle was being aggressive towards him, and yeah, that'll be.
Alright, so you dream of this man that towers over you, that looms. You can't see his face, but he has a rigid hat and a dark coat. And he is looming and staring down at you and judging all of the wrongs that you have done. And it's one of those nights where tiny insignificant wrongs, the wrong word at the wrong time, come back to haunt you as if they're the weightiest things you've ever done. And then the terrible actual things you have done seep in too. And he raises a gun towards you. You are no good to live. And as the gun goes off, that is when you wake up in this front yard.
I check my pistol.
Your pistol is actually in your hand. At some point in the night, you've taken it out of the holster that I think is on your belt. Or is it in your jacket? Fine.
Yeah.
So you've taken it out at some point in the night and it's in your hand. You're relieved that the safety... There is no safety, I remember. Pruitt pointed this out last week. There is no safety on your revolver. You're relieved to see that all rounds are still in the gun.
Yeah,
You have not fired it.
yeah. I put it away. I'll check the post.
Okay. Today for you is bill day, and there are a lot of bills there. A lot of responsibilities that Bert has. His small office space that he once rented, that he kind of relapsed on. His grocery bill has arrived. He's been working on a tab. The various power, water type bills have turned up. And underneath and in this all is a letter from your daughter. And it's a thick envelope. You know this is a long letter from her.
Yeah, I'll ignore all of the envelopes except from the one from my daughter, and I'll tear that one open and give it a read.
Alright, this letter probably takes you a good 45 minutes to get through, as she's written on both sides of the paper and it's several pages long. And in your hungover state, it's not the easiest thing to concentrate on. But the gist of it is that she's leaving. She doesn't want to marry the man that she's engaged to. She wants you to accept that that is not the life that she wants to lead. That she wants to be good enough for Helena is literally the phrase that is in there. And that she is buying tickets and she is going away. And she doesn't care if you approve or not. And it's long and it's rambling and it's filled with emotions. And there are pages where there are just smears, where she's obviously been either crying or she's spilt something as she's been writing furiously.
Just a phase. Just a phase. Just a phase. Maybe I'll try and give her a ring.
Okay.
But first, I need to cure this hangover. There's still a bottle in my left hand.
There is no bottle with you, but going into the house, you see it stood up on the entranceway table. Like Eddie's maybe taken it off of you and just stood it there on your way in.
Yeah, that's good enough. I'll pick that up and I'll just hair the dog.
And as you drink it back, it's actually not filled with the whiskey or the rum or whatever spirit you were expecting. It is filled with head splitter. You somehow convinced Lucia to fill the bottle with her new cocktail, her new brew. And it knocks your socks off.
Oh, well, at least the hangover's gone.
What is the state of your house? What does your house look like?
Oh, so there's a stack of envelopes on the side, which are sort of pouring onto the floor by now because he just never opens them. The fridge is one of them, you know, small affairs. Opens it up and it's empty. There's something moldy at the back. He closes it again. It's a small place. Like, he's got a kitchenette front area and a small bedroom, and
yeah, your cold box hasn't been cold for weeks.
yeah,
You got ice at one point and you were kind of keeping food in there, but the ice has since like melted and then evaporated, and there's just that smell of food gone, no
Yeah.
longer edible in any way.
that's the smell of home. And his place is just a mess, you know. The walls are sort of stained. There's been a chip fire every now and again. You can see things up the wall. It's in need of some TLC. But with a little help from a friend, you can ignore all of that.
What you can't ignore, however, is the small clock that is on the not working fireplace, and it chimes the hour, 9 o'clock, the time that you should be at the courthouse. The clock was a gift from someone. Who was the clock a gift from?
The clock was a gift from my daughter.
Mm-hmm. So having read a troubling letter from your child,
Mm-hmm.
the clock gifted from her is now chiming. Dong, 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 dong.
And I'll check my wristwatch. Is it
Your
right?
wristwatch, always running 15 minutes late, shows 9:45.
Huh. And it shows 9 o'clock on the clock?
Yep.
Wow. I'm gonna make my way over to the phone and punch in her number.
Okay, you calling your daughter?
Yeah.
For a while, once you've spoken to the telephone operator, the number connects, and there is the sound of someone answering the phone, but there is no voice on the other side.
Hello?
The line crackles.
Hello? You okay?
There is no sound of a voice.
Worrying that the line's dead, I'll hit the receiver a couple of times.
Hello, operator.
Can you put me back through, please?
One moment. And she reconnects your call. You tell me.
Did it go back through again? Does it answer again?
You hear the sound again, that familiar like crunch of the receiver being picked up out of its holder. And this time you hear breathing. Someone is definitely there and listening.
Victoria? Are you there?
No, but I am.
Who is this?
Someone your daughter owes money to.
Ah,
Who's this?
this is her pop.
Wait, hang on. Here, forget the daughter thing. Someone Victoria owes money to. That's better.
This is her pop.
You got her money?
Maybe.
You know where she is?
I know where she lives. I don't know how much she owes. How much does she owe?
50.
I can get you 50.
All right then. I'll be waiting.
Alright. Is she okay? I want to hear her voice.
She's not here.
Where is she?
We're looking after her until her debt's paid.
Huh. May I ask who you are?
Don't matter to you. Just someone you gotta pay. And the phone goes dead. There's the sound of that receiver just being hung up.
Well, I guess I go and get in my car. Make my way over to the bank. Despite living like a bum, he's actually quite wealthy. I don't know
He
if
had a
he's...
good job.
Yeah, he had a good job for a while. He moved because he was bored more than anything. He used to get paid. He just spends all his money on, well, not all of his money, but he spends as much of his money as he can on liquor. So he'll make his way over to the bank, and I mean, it's a way to his daughters, but he'll drive on over there.
Sure.
Jury be damned.
Okay. We were actually going to break in an hour, but I'm going to take a break now. Just a 5-10 minute break. You guys are welcome. The three of you who I assume do make it to the courthouse on time are welcome to meet in your jury selection room, your private room, where you get ushered, having been selected for a jury, and maybe go about your morning. Bert is not there. Or if everyone wants to take a break, we can take a full break now. How's the group feeling?
I could take a really, I've got a bit of business, and then I could bio really quick.
Okay, let's take a 5-minute bio then, really fast bio. We'll come back and we'll continue with this morning.
Then I'm off.
See you shortly, fellows.
Wow, all this gold is for me? Thank you, you guys.
We'll get right to that, Isra. Right to that. And we're back. Hi, guys. So before we get stuck back into it, Charlie, who I've not muted, you are audible. We have some wild magic surges in the pipeline. We've got 2 for Bert. We've got 1 random one for hitting 10 retweets, and 2 for Travis, 1 for Bert, and 1 random one in the pipeline from the 10 retweets. And
Right.
I've not checked how many retweets we've got. I'll do that.
So, if everyone would like to roll up their wild magic surges who had them, I've already forgotten who said had them, but if those people could please roll them up. I'm going to describe Marcus's morning. Marcus spends the morning wavering in and out of consciousness, seeing things that he couldn't have imagined, places that he's sure doesn't exist, a city on fire, drowning underneath as chairs and furniture float towards the ceiling, flying through clouds towards a blinding light, in and out, until he finds a void, a place of complete absence, a place where nothing exists. And he's in and he's out. And occasionally he sees the doctor's house, the vet's house, and he feels the stabbing pain, so he knows he's still alive. But more and more, the things that he is seeing feel more real, feel more like the place that he should be, everywhere but that black absence. He longs for the city on fire. He longs to be drowning in a room with floating furniture. But most of all, he wants to fly through the clouds, to feel that freedom, that liberation. And that is his wild magic surge. Target sees a random elemental plane for 3d6 hours. The plane changes every hour on the hour. But that is his experience as he wavers in and out. And more he is drawn into this experience. Is everyone rolled up?
Oh yeah, probably everyone except me.
Is it me?
Me.
Oh, okay.
I rolled twice. God help me.
So I'll get those lined up. We do also have 1 random one as well. If you could roll a 1d4 or choose someone if you wish.
I will do 1d4. Scrat's number 1, Alice is number 2, Anna is number 3, and Travis is number 4. Number 1, that's you, Scrat.
Thank you.
Terrifying.
While this is going on, Alice, would you mind doing a quick recap for people who joined partway through the stream of what's happened?
Yeah, so far, we've had some mysterious phone calls and some mysterious letters, each with some bizarre notions. Helena has received a message who she's not too sure who it's come from, and also that it refers to a new case that is on the way. And Bert has received a letter from his daughter, who has in a very lengthy way told him that she doesn't care about what he thinks, and she is going to run off with the woman she loves, basically, rather than the arranged marriage that Bert has sort of set up and believes is how she truly feels. He's not agreed with this and tried to call her, and on the other end of the line has been a voice demanding money, money that is owed to them by his daughter, and they seem to have her captured or in their holding. And then there's Lucia. Lucia has received a mysterious phone call in the night of her brother Aiden screaming and panicking and everything like that. And when she arrives at the scene, her brother Marcus is in a very sorry way. He has been shot multiple times, and she has taken him to the address he gave her, only to find another Italian family, very angry Italian woman, in there, and she has had to leave him in their care. And I'm not too sure what happened to Eddie. What was that happened to Eddie?
I got a job, thank God.
That was it. You got a job. Yeah.
My slimy manager called me and told me I've got a shipment to look at next week.
That was it.
Right, and we left Bert driving from the bank to his daughter's residence. Scrat, who do these apply to? Because I don't see that. Travis is 85 and 178.
Yep. First 2 for Travis, second 2 for me.
Alright, so Travis, if I ask you to make a power-related save or a sanity save, for the rest of the session, you have advantage. You can roll twice, and we'll take the higher of the 2 numbers. That's a really big and good one to have, so make a note of that, because I'm not going to remember. I'll take care of the next one. Who was... you re-rolled that one. Okay, the last 2 are yours, correct? Scrap?
Yes, indeed.
Alright, we'll take care of those as we go. Lucia, Helena, and Eddie all eventually arrive for their jury service today. And they are ushered towards the room with the red door, down the opposite corridor to the room with the green door. And this red room, or red doored room, is much smaller than the other one, but it has the same arching windows that are kind of at street level, through which the morning light has yet to kind of come around because it's on the other side of the building. And you occasionally see kind of feet walking past, and it feels as if you're in a room that no one knows about, as if it's like some sort of secret room that everyone just keeps passing. The rest of the jury slowly join you, and they start forming into groups, and for the most part, the bulk of the jury seems to stay away from the 2 women, and there's a sense that they're discussing, you know, is it right that we're letting women in on this? This is a murder trial. There's some speculation that they have between them about the murder itself, which did happen in town. And that is what is going on. How did the rest of your mornings go? And how do you find the jury room? Or rather, what do you do in the jury room? I suppose.
Ladies first.
I would have shown up like 5 to 10 minutes early. I don't like giving anyone an excuse to look down on me for any reason, especially since I'm already a woman in a man's courtroom. So I would have arrived as soon as I could, found my place, kind of taken up my own space so I didn't get overlooked or, you know, anything like that. So I have my notebook, of course, as always, taking some notes, a little bit excited, but also kind of thrown off by the letter and wondering what that's going to be. So that's me.
Lucia will be a little bit early because she just likes to be early, and she also doesn't want to be on her own at the moment because she's pretty sure there's someone following her. She arrives promptly. She tries to stand tall and as confidently as possible, even though at the back of her head she's worrying about Marcus, not just for the fact that he could die, or more the fact that 1, where are the others, and 2, was he stupid enough to say anything and leave evidence behind about their family. So she sort of strolled into the courtroom trying to, as I said, stand as tall as possible. When she takes a seat, it's not necessarily directly next to Helena, but she feels maybe they look slightly more powerful together, so she'll sit close, and she will try and meet the eye of every single male official in there.
With your head injury that has been patched up, are you wearing a hat to cover it, or is it just there under your hair, or?
It's probably under her hair more than anything, because she will normally take her hat off in court anyway. She doesn't care if anyone sees it.
Okay.
Nice. I hit the newsstand on my way to court and get a paper, and then I hit the fruit stand and buy a couple things, and then I make my way to court behind the red door, and I've got a handkerchief in my hand with a sprig of red grapes. But first I walk up to Lucia and reach into my coat and produce a Florida orange about the size of your fist. And I hand her the orange and give her a nod
She
and tell her good morning.
good morning, and she just smiles and takes it. Like, this is very kind of you.
My pleasure. It's good to see you, hon. And then I walk over to Helena and I hold out my hand with the red grapes in the handkerchief and I say, would you like a grape?
I would love a grape, especially from you.
Good morning. And if there's room to sit nearby Helena while I read my paper, I do so.
In this room, rather than the bench configuration of the green room, there are tables, almost like a cafe, round ones and a couple of square ones with chairs around them, which kind of allows for the two group of men, the other jurors, to kind of form. And then there's the table that I imagine Lucia and Helena sat at that you would be really welcomed to join.
Well, I do so and open up my paper.
And on the front page of the paper today is the news of investigations into bootlegging. There's the beginnings of a massive investigation underway in the city, and the title's something like "Bootleggers," just as big as possible. And underneath that, there are lots of little cartoon portraits of various people, some of which Lucia may recognize as kind of comic versions of people she knows, some of which you maybe don't. Helena, if you probably have an interest in this with your various criminal fascinations. And the funniest one for you is the woman who is in the middle of it, who has perfectly round eyebrows, basically, that kind of loop over, or half circle eyebrows, and really like dull, like fat lips. And just underneath is Fat Lips Molly. That's how they've decided to describe this woman that you are familiar with as someone who has actually attended the society in New York.
Okay.
There's nothing weirder than there's nothing more awkward than the weird guy at the table beginning to make conversation without making much eye contact or addressing anybody in particular, but I just like start talking. You know, I find the Volstead Act incredibly tiresome, and news about it just as tiresome. And then I sort of nod my head towards Helena, and I'm like, "Did you read this thing about a family getting chopped up in the woods? Is there any
Let me
news in the
see.
paper with that?"
I want to see the paper.
So
It was in it yesterday.
So there is actually a small article because it basically says trial begins, and it is about the murders that occurred at the camp on the edge of town, which is basically a series of cabins around a lake, and it's usually rented out by fairly well-off people, and kind of immigrant families on the rise, people who are approaching white collar, that sort of level, and that's why it's so startling and newsworthy that people have been murdered here, because white collar people don't get just murdered in the woods. It's outrageous. And they blame the Italians, they blame hobos, they blame all sorts of people, and there is a mention of the two defendants, but there's a sense that everyone, because this is more like an opinions column of who do you think did it and why did they did it kind of thing, different people have written in, and there's a sense that the community isn't actually sure that the defendants did it, that they have their own theories on who did this and why, and that's more important than whatever goes on in the courthouse. And that's the impression you get from this column in the corner. Above it, there's an ad for boots, ladies' boots, and there's a very elegant illustration, and it's like Fifth Avenue address for people to buy these boots.
Boots are on sale.
Wonderful. Did you see the family? That's a little more interesting.
I did. I'm keeping an eye on this. So, but this may be a stupid question, but we don't know do we know that this is the trial that we're actually?
You are fairly
For?
certain that this will be the trial that's going on, because you know this is a murder trial because of the questions you were asked in court on the first day, and this is the murder that happened here. So it seems likely that this is the murder that you are doing, but you didn't
Yeah.
see either of the defendants, and they didn't actually give you the particulars of the murder in your jury interview.
Well, I'm gonna read every. I tell Helena, I'm like, well, we ought to read every word of this because they're gonna start taking these papers away from us here in a little bit.
Yeah, I definitely think that we would be discussing this.
Yeah, and it's fun. It's a great bit because I would know her well enough to know that she's gonna be all over this, and you know, it's like, did you see chopped up in the woods? You think that's why we're here? You think they did it?
I'm sitting there scribbling in my little notebook, like, before they take away the information.
What is Lucia doing as Helena and Eddie kind of dive beneath this broad paper?
Lucia's sort of listening in and just sort of observing, not really necessarily joining in, but she's again heard the mention of, conspiracy theories as to who it could be. She likes to know what's going on in the area, and again, the Italians are seen as quite they get blamed for a lot of stuff, and she likes to know what it is so she can use it if she has to.
Okay, so for brevity, what I'm going to say is we're going to go to Bert in a second. And while that's happening, I want each of you to come up with one question for a piece of information that could be in this article, and I will answer that when I come back to you. So you can discuss that in Zoom chat if you want, or with chat on stream. So 3 questions, that's 1 each. Meanwhile, Bert, you are crossing the bridge into the city.
Mhm.
You've put your foot down, and you've been driving through a world that still feels very summer. It's hot. The sky is very blue. The trees haven't yet started to change. And as you hit the bridge, you hit a deadlock. People trying to get in, people running late to their jobs, and you are forced to sit on that bridge and wait and wait. When a cop car comes along and he's driving down that clear lane, and I imagine that because of your wild magic surge, you in this moment decide that you want to move too. You want to move fast.
Mm-hmm.
So you just pull out and you follow him. You're a PI, basically a cop. You need to get where you're going. You don't have time for this. And in half the time it should have taken you with this gridlock traffic, you following this cop car get into the city.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you kind of weave through the grid. You try and use all the tricks you can. Sometimes you go down a one-way street in the wrong direction. It's fine. You're basically a cop. That's what you just keep thinking to yourself. You're basically a cop. This is fine.
I probably still have a siren somewhere that I could put up top, like.
Perfect. And you're like cranking this with your hands so that it's sounding.
Yeah.
And you get to your daughter's building, and the door isn't a door anymore. It's boarded up. You have the impression that someone has taken the door off the hinges of this place, and it has been boarded up. And you can't get in. There is no entry to the front of this building.
Well. What kind of building is it? Is it like an apartment or?
This is a 4-story walk up. So there's a set of steps on the outside, and it goes up 4 stories. The red brick building is pretty nice. This is probably where a lot of your money is gone, is looking after your children in supporting their rent.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I'll I get my first thought is, you know what, I'm going through that door anyway. But my other, and I guess, is there a fire escape nearby?
You don't see one at the front of the building. It is possible there is one at the back. Similar buildings around do seem to have external access, but you don't know. You've never been to this building. For whatever reason, you've not been to this building before.
Yeah. Okay, well then I guess I've got a pry bar in the boot, I reckon. Like a, not, like a Slim
Yeah.
Jim for getting in cars quick. I'll go and use that and start wrenching the wood off the door so I can get in.
Do you have an appropriate skill that would apply to help you?
I'm certain I could find out.
Probably a strength-based one.
I have a bit of brawl. I could intimidate my way through the door.
Let's go with brawl. That's strength-based.
Yeah, I can't see anything better.
Your way to force your way in. I'll go with brawl. That works for me.
Oh no.
So you try and you actually end up bending your Slim Jim to the point where it's basically a U, and then you try using that to kind of anchor the boards off, and you are not getting in, to the point where you're actually drawing a lot of attention to the fact that you're trying to break into this building. That is the impression that people passing are getting. You're getting looks more than anyone calling you out, but you're getting looks.
I'll walk down from the steps with the broken Slim Jim in hand, and I'll put my hand into my ID, and I'll flash my ID like, police, police, police. Not actually showing anyone, because it's just a regular ID these days, but just flash, police, police.
I'm sure there is a skill for that. Let's see,
Like...
persuade or disguise, maybe?
Definitely not disguise.
Or intimidate. I would take intimidate.
Do you know what? Intimidate's my best one.
Yeah, because you're trying to legitimize yourself. Okay. What actually happens as you flash this badge is people get more and more interested, and there's a crowd starting to gather, and they start like peering in the windows. They think that there is something really interesting going on here. To the point where you actually get pushed back out of the way as people are like trying to peer in. And so the front of the building now is inaccessible to you. You need to find another way.
I will just, sort of slip back and then see if I can go around to the back of the building, see if I can find that fire escape.
This is a building that does have a fire escape. Unfortunately, it seems to start on the second floor. Once more, you question city logic.
Does the building next to it have a fire escape that comes down to, like, first floor or a ladder or something?
It seems to be in the same configuration. For some reason, all of the fire escapes just stop. So there's a 10-foot drop between the fire escape and the ground.
So I'm just looking at this fire escape like, why? Why? And...
it feels as if all doors to you are barred in this moment, that there is no way that you are getting into this building.
Very clever, Charlie. Very
Yep.
clever. Oh. Do you know what? I go and I try and find a payphone.
So Bert wanders down the street, and we'll come back to the courthouse. Who have you guys decided on the questions? Yeah.
Think so.
Eddie, ask me your question.
Well, there were survivors. There were 2 kids, parents were killed. And, while I'm curious about whether or not there were signs of forced entry, I think my big question is, where are the kids? Did they see anything?
Okay, there were 3 survivors. There were 3 children. The 2 sons of the family and their friend. Okay, I feel like you asked me 2 questions in terms of forced entry or witnesses. Which would you like?
Witnesses.
Okay. The children all slept soundly through whatever happened in the room next to them. And there are no witnesses that have come forward from within the cabin situation. The witnesses associated with this trial are very much external to the event. Okay, second question, please, Helena.
What does the community think happened with the murders and what's the most popular superstitious belief among them? Like you said earlier that they don't think what has happened is what happened. So what is it that the most popular thing that they think is what really happened in the woods?
The most popular theory that is not the official theory is that the father of the boy, the friend, murdered the family, and that he did it because there is lunacy within him, that he is mentally disturbed. There are rumors that he attended an asylum.
Okay.
Lucia, what is your question?
Lucia wants to know, how aggressive were these attacks? Was it like a quick put down, like for efficiency, or was this someone who hated this person and wanted to hurt them, like, or like a ritualistic way of doing it a particular way?
Okay. The murders, the newspapers have been strangely scant in the inclusion of details, which actually tells you more than you'd think, in that they're skipping horrific details. You have the feeling that there was a bloodbath in this cabin.
Okay.
There's the feeling that why didn't the boys wake up? The sense that there's something so terrible that there's no way someone should have been able to sleep through it, and yet 3 young boys did.
Okay.
And that people are like trying to figure out details. There's theories about different weapons that could have been used, different ways it happened, but no one seems to know, and that's the disturbing thing. Or no one's saying.
Okay.
They must have drugged those children. Eddie says, talking to himself.
Okay, so that is basically the information that you gleaned from this article, and any other articles that you may have previously read. That's the general context of what you've gotten. And you are welcome.
And they think the father of the family that lived in the cabin did it, or they think the
No.
father of the friend did it.
The father of the friend.
Got it.
Yeah, Mr. Jewison is his name.
Well, it's very obvious they're not telling everything. Don't you think?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, I've been reading this paper a long time. This is not exactly the highest standard of journalism, the local privacy rag, but you know, there's certainly enough here to make it interesting. But yeah, there's something they're not saying. Something wrong about it. Can't cause that much damage without waking up 3, you know, I don't have children, but it's my understanding that they don't sleep much. And somebody had to have come in. Somebody who knew the family had to have come in, drugged the kids, come back, killed the family. It's my working theory. This Jewison guy's in trouble. They'll hang it on him if they can't, you know. I'll bet if this is what I think it is, when we finally lay it all flat, he's going to be in big trouble.
And you would also know, just for clarification, the 2 people on trial, one is an Italian immigrant, and one, they haven't said his origin, but you have the feeling like another immigrant of some description, who had been living in the woods. These are 2 homeless men who have been caught and framed, or not framed, prosecuted for this crime, or are being prosecuted for this crime. You have the sense from reading the paper that you feel like they're framed, was what I was gonna say, and I just married the 2 together.
Oh, well, then I totally take back what I just said. Yeah, they think they found him, and these are the kind of types that get railroaded through this sort of thing. It happened a month ago, and it can happen again.
That's why you have to be so careful when you're someone like me.
Elf, I think we are surrounded by people who do not understand the plight of the immigrant in America and how risky and dangerous it is. And I think it's only the perspective that I've had, and certainly the two of you have had. And the people in this town do not have that perspective.
No.
It is treacherous, to say the least.
That's what happens in small towns that haven't seen much of the world.
True. It's a good place to hide. It's a bad place to get into trouble.
As Eddie says the word hide, I'd like all of you to tell me something that comes into your mind that you are actively hiding, or that you have hidden significantly in the past. We'll start with Lucia.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry. Did you want to ask a question?
I was just going to say, relating to the case or relating to our personal...
Your own personal, something you have hidden, like significantly hidden, or you are currently hiding. Lucia. What is the first thing that comes into your mind as he said, it's a good place to hide?
My brother got shot last night. Like literally, and I dragged him through a herd of cows and then took him to a really angry Italian woman. That is currently what's going through my head.
Okay. Helena?
I would say currently the most important thing is that I found my way into this jury by, I don't know if I would say illegal means, but I found my way on this jury not by being selected for the jury, but by some other means.
By questionable.
Yes, questionable for sure. And I'm worried that I'll get found out. That's always going to be in the back of my mind over the other secrets that I have.
And Eddie, what is in your mind? You said this is a good place to hide. What are you hiding?
Well, I'm hiding here. My career, I think Eddie's career opportunities have dried up and he's broke. And not like flat, like on the street broke, but like no money in the bank broke and waiting on his guy to call broke. And he's not going to discuss it if he can help it, because
and as that crosses your mind, you feel like that tinnitus ring, and it explodes louder and louder, and your brain seems to fill with like a bright blinding light of a migraine behind your eyes, and all you can see is like as the sun has shifted over the building and is beginning to kind of filter in here, and it's an intense pressure on your brain, and it feels like light is going to explode out of your body. And I'd like you to make a power check.
Okay, a power check. Is that just a D100 roll?
Yeah, versus your power. You can use advantages, 20s, etc.
I think, well, I get to, doesn't it say that I get to re-roll, I get to roll twice on like every check?
Because of your magic surge, you can have this advantage.
Copy that. All right, let's go with me. Okay, wait. I'm going back into here. I thought I turned that beeping off.
Okay, so that'll be an 8. What is your power score?
Yeah. Where is my power score?
It's under your
Standby.
characteristics. It's POW.
POW under characteristics. Everybody's going to hold on just a second here. Oh, yeah, 70.
Okay, so yours is 70. So that is, does that count as an extreme success for you? I can't work out what a fifth of 70 is.
It's 14. Fifth of 70 is,
Yeah, so
my fifth is 14.
Perfect. So this is actually, just for people keeping track, this is the wild magic surge that was outstanding from last game, that fills you with light. And you feel in the back of your mind like this pressure is taken over, and then you sneeze. And it's like the sinus pressure just lifts, and the headache is still there, still ringing, but the moment kind of passes. And the sneeze kind of echoes around the room, and it startles some of the other jurors who had been kind of busy muttering between each other in this in this chamber.
Oh, I would have the worst sneeze.
You
Like one of
would.
those people who sneezes and the whole roof comes off the damn place. Ha! It's really loud as shit. Sorry.
But you find a telephone box on the street.
What?
I do.
You do.
Oh, bird. Oh, thank God.
You're ready. He's there.
That was a big sneeze. I'm outside.
I see if I've got a quarter.
Okay.
Uh,
Seems like a reasonable thing that you would have.
yeah, I put it in the machine and I dial my daughter's number again.
This time, the operator informs you that the number you've called has been disconnected.
I just hang up. I don't even say thank you. Is there a ground floor window?
Make a luck roll for me.
Come on, luck. Where is luck? Oh, that's down there. Come on, luck.
What level of success was that?
Hard.
God, okay. So you kind of make your way back to the building and you push your way through the crowds and you see that they are actually peering in through ground floor windows. But what catches your attention was around the side as you were going to look for the stairs earlier, the fire escape, was there was another window that had slatted shutters on it. And you are pretty sure that behind that there was no glass. So if you could get through the shutters, you could probably squeeze in through that window. It hadn't occurred to you before because you were looking for a door, but this is a window.
Mm-hmm. So I'll just try and pry the shutters open.
They're not pull out, they actually end up pushing in, and there's a really stiff as they come into the building. Definitely not a secure setup.
I'll just go and muscle my way in.
You make your way in and you actually find yourself in the stairwell.
Perfect! Perfect! Excellent! I'll look at the door, consider firing off a couple of rounds into it, but I wouldn't. And then I'll...
Not
go...
with people the other side, I hope.
No, but it's tempting. And then I'll make my way up the stairs to Victoria's apartment. I'm sure I would have had the apartment number from her address, so from her letter, so that's what I'll do.
So you make your way up, and she is actually all the way up on the top floor.
Of course.
And the stairs kind of creak and clank, and you regret the head splitter you had as the effects are beginning to wear off. And you do eventually make it to the top of the stairs, and there are 2 doors up here, 2 apartments. But it's very obvious which one is your daughter's, because that is the one that is also missing a door. And up here is a handyman currently nailing up boards across it to secure this apartment.
I draw. You! Are you
Oh,
one
shoot,
of the...
oh, shoot.
Are you one of them?
Who?
Where'd they go?
Who?
The men.
He just points downstairs. He has no idea who you're talking about, and that is clear on his face, but he points downstairs.
I look down the stairs.
You
Who-
didn't pass anyone on the way up, and there is no one apparent there now.
Who's here? Who was here?
I don't know, just found the door kicked in. It's just my job to fix it.
Alright, let's see your ID, please.
He, looks down, and he's so desperate to find ID. But he has none. Apart from the hammer in his hand and the nails in a pouch on his hip, he has no way to convince you of who he is at gunpoint.
I see. So you're here at the scene of a crime with a weapon in your hand. Doesn't look good for you, buddy.
I'm just a handyman.
Alright, well, you better let me in so I can take a look around.
We called the police.
Uh-huh, and that's why I'm here.
Okay. And he, at the sight of the gun, is so intimidated that he begins taking the boards off the door for you. He doesn't even question it. The apartment beyond is a mess. And there is an open suitcase in the middle of the hall. Various garments of clothing kind of pulled out. Someone definitely went through here looking for something, and they looked everywhere. The mattress has actually been cut apart, and various items that you recognize as your daughter's from things that you've gifted her, things that other people have gifted her that she's spoken about, are smashed, destroyed, torn apart.
No, there's no need for that. Alright. Alright.
And I'd like you to make a spot hidden check, please.
Oh no, that's something I can hopefully do.
Okay, success. Your investigative brain is very relieved to see there's no sign of blood anywhere. The state of this apartment, the state of the ferocity of which it's been pulled apart, you were worried as a father and as a cop that there was probably violence done to whoever was in here.
Mm-hmm.
But you see no sign of blood anywhere, which is a relief.
Missing teeth or anything like that. That is good. Oh, alright, I'll check around the less obvious places in the flat. Maybe I was hoping they might have left me a note. Instructions. Or of them being here.
Okay, if you want to make another spot hidden as you delve deeper into the apartment.
Make another spot hidden, sorry.
Yes.
Oh.
Okay, so again, you can push this roll, but you will have to face a consequence if you fail for a second time. You could use an advantage if you have one.
Do you know what? I might just spend some luck. I've
Okay.
got loads of luck. I'll just spend 9 luck to make that a 75, so I just scrape
Okay.
a pass.
You find in the hallway closet on the way in, there is a man's jacket hanging there. And inside the pocket of the jacket, you find like a business card, and it's got a name on it that you recognize as her fiance's. A guy that never asked your permission, but you generally accepted because, you know, she's going through a phase. She needs a good man in her life. He has a
Found a man.
business.
It was destined to be. It was always going to happen. It was just a phase. But and then I think of the letter, which is probably still in my jacket somewhere. I wouldn't have put it with the bills. And I'm probably looking and think, but she wasn't happy. And that's just not quite registering. Like, the two facts are there, like, man with a woman. Woman not happy. They're two facts, but they're not quite going together for Bert, you know? Time to pay the fiance a visit. See if he knows anything. There's no contact, no calling card here, nothing. I got your money, you bastards. Where are you?
There's definitely something about it that doesn't make sense to you, but you currently haven't put together the pieces to figure out what isn't making sense, other than the fact there's, as you say, no calling card, no contact here.
Yeah.
Just a trash department.
Looking for... Is there anything that the things that are smashed have in common? Or are they all certain types of thing? Like, have they left big things and only smashed little things? Like, they're searching for something specific? Or is this like a... Is this more like a, we're trashing your apartment because we're trashing your apartment? This is making a point.
I'm just looking at the skills list. I would say make an intelligence roll unless you have a relevant skill from your career knowledge. I guess it would be psychology, maybe.
Sorry, chat. I might have accidentally just exited out of Roll20 somehow.
Okay, so at which point we'll go back to the courthouse while you're loading that back up. The courthouse, you guys sit in there until about lunchtime. No one really comes in to speak to you. But at lunchtime, Mr. Sparks does show up, and in his hand are several vouchers for Gloria's. You're promised food tokens, And he kind of dishes them out and says, hello, how are you? Talks to a few people, laughs with a few people, kind of smacks them on the back. Some sort of dirty secret joke. He kind of glances towards Helena. He doesn't make eye contact with Lucia. And there's that sort of feeling of you guys are going to be released for lunch to Gloria's.
God.
What would you like to do? He does say, you can stay here or you can go and get your lunch, which probably makes more sense.
I may take a second and walk around and admire the unusual architectural choices here in the courthouse, which is something I think he's been thinking about. There are some curious things going on architecturally here in this building. I'm just going to check them out real quick before I go shove something in what's left of my face. Keep me alive a little longer.
Alright, so that's what Eddie is doing with his break. What do Helena and Lucia do at lunchtime?
Lucia will probably leave the room, try and find somewhere that's a little bit busy so she doesn't feel too exposed or watched, and start to eat the orange that Eddie gave her.
Are you leaving the courthouse, or are you finding somewhere busier in the courthouse?
Probably still in the courthouse, maybe even on the courthouse steps, around that sort of area.
Perfect. Courthouse steps. And what does Helena do?
Helena will ask Eddie if he would like to go to Gloria's after a while, whenever he wants, so we can discuss more things in private. More about the case, so we can't be overheard.
So when she does that, you can't tell because he's got a lot of stuff on his face, but this is another sort of quiet freak out moment for Eddie Strubeck. He would, and he replies very sincerely, "It would be my pleasure to have lunch with you this afternoon. Let's go outside. I want to look at the front of this place real quick. Like step out onto the steps and like back way up and just kind of look at the front. I want to look at the pillars. You said that it's kind of like, looks like the Parthenon in a way. I just want to get a good sense of the place because I think he's intrigued by the Roman architecture and the stonework and the fact that in this town, this is probably, and Charlie, you tell me, this is probably one of the, if not the most ornate building.
It is definitely one of the most ornate buildings. It's also weirdly one of the oldest buildings. And it's a building that borrows from a lot, as you look at it, it borrows from a lot of different styles. And you get the impression, actually make a history check. We'll see if Eddie actually knows about the history of the building.
Let's do it, because I mentioned to Helena, I'm like, we've got to go to the public records and look up who actually built this place, because these New England courthouses and churches were all, well, not all of them, but a lot of them were built by some real kooks, some real characters, and I would love to know more about who built this thing, because it is a weird, there's a lot of choices here that didn't need to be made for a small town courthouse. Let me tell you that right now. I roll a D100.
Yep.
Yes. I got a 24, which is good because my history is a patience, gentle viewer. This is a history check?
Yes. Unless
Okay,
you have a more
history.
relevant skill.
No. History is 12. Oh no, my history is 60. My fifth is 12.
Okay, so this is a hard success, I think.
Yes.
It's under half.
Yes, it is.
So you know that this building was built by a very wealthy judge. He was retiring from the bench to live out a very rich life. And he wanted to build the grandest courthouse outside of New York City. He was very inspired by places of law, such as kind of Greece, the founding places of law. So Greece, Rome, the ancient cultures, but he's also really inspired by the many, many churches of New York City. And there are lots of strange, well, not strange, there are lots of statues and references to things that don't entirely go together. And it is also one of the only buildings from this period within town that actually survived the fire, because it is substantially made of stone. And it is an imported stone, it's not a local stone. It was, expressly put in to look a certain way. And the more you look at the edifice, you see there are saints hidden in various alcoves on the top of the building. There are lots of very ornate windows and arches, and there's no stained glass, but there's lots of kind of ornate windows. And the building is designed basically to feel like it has a lot of history without actually having a lot of history. There was one witch trial held here. And the witch in question was hung. And that was probably the most famous case that's happened here in the history of this courthouse. But even then, it was a petty dispute between neighbors, as many of the witch trials were. This woman had cuckolded the wrong man, and he conspired with a neighbor, and it ended up that she had a very miserable stay in the jail before she was publicly executed. I just saw Anna lean in.
I'm very interested in this if I'm reading these records with him, because I'm still not over what happened and what we saw in the corridor, and I want to see. I don't know if I would openly tell him about it, because I don't know if I believe it yet, but I do want to look in the records to see if something. I was specifically going to look if there's a hanging, because we saw the gallows, and so that just answered that question.
There have been a couple of other hangings in town, but it's a very rare event, and not something that has happened within the last 50 or so years in this town. So the fact that
I wanted to know if there was.
Sorry.
I wanted to see in the building plans if we could find those, if there was some sort of corridor that contained jail cells and possibly gallows, because since we went through that door and then it was gone, I'm really just confused over it. And it was like last night, right?
Yeah, this happened to you last night, just before 7 p.m.
Okay.
That you had a moment, and you and Lucia went somewhere very strange, and then you emerged from behind that statue, which is in the foyer. Kind of looks down over the main area with the stairs on either side and the two corridors with the green room in one direction and the red room in the other.
Yeah, so I would like to see anything in the records that I could find to do with some sort of passageway that is a secret passageway, or some sort of holding cells, or even with the statue, if there's anything like that.
Between the pair of you, you've kind of persuaded your way into... This is actually in the library rather than in town hall. To the area that is about, town history. The librarian was really excited to see someone interested in this area, and kind of proudly showed you her collection of books on the history of the town. But there is no blueprint here. And you know that you would probably have to go explicitly to town hall to get a copy of the blueprint of this building. There are references to cells beneath the courthouse, and that was where the witch was held. And the site of the hanging is actually out of the back of the courthouse. There's ornamental gardens back there, and the hangings would perversely take place in this incredibly beautiful sculptured garden. There hasn't been one in 50 years.
I'm wondering if I would feel comfortable enough with Eddie to tell him about the statue, since I know he knows a lot about that kind of stuff, but I don't know if I would just come out and be like, yes, this statue moved and cried blood and handed me its blindfold.
So perhaps the storyteller will set up a situation for you where it may have come up. Having been to the library and realizing that you'd need to go to the town hall to get blueprints, and that's kind of out of the way and you're running out of time because you only have about an hour for lunch. You go to Gloria's, I imagine, to spend your vouchers to get your free food, and you are busy discussing the externals of the building, the sculpture, which is very much of interest to, I imagine, to Eddie, and things like that.
Can we hold right there, because there's a moment, like, I love that we went to the library together, and like before that happened, having passed that history check, does that mean that I could like maybe see a signature thing from the architect, like, oh, clearly it was made by this person, this judge?
Okay, so you find that the building was designed eclectically. There were a lot of architects brought in and a lot of sculptors. A lot of people kind of got kicked off the project as the judge wanted
sure.
more and more to establish something. So there's no, you see like lots of little bits of lots of different people, but there's no mastermind behind this building. Beyond the
Can I name the judge?
Beyond the judge. Can you name the judge? Yes, you can name the judge.
It'd be Ivo Shandor.
Sure.
Awesome. That's the architect from Ghostbusters. I take quiet thrill in getting to once again take Helena on a tour of a very interesting building, and to have lots to say about it. I was like, oh well, clearly this is, this judge, he did, I walk her through what you just shared with me, with us, Charlie, and that I love that we like, well, then we have to go to the library, and then we do, and we like rush to the library to go do 15-20 minutes of research before we have to go eat something and get back. I just think that's sensational. So just as a character moment, which I just love so much, this is the first time probably in 8 years that this guy has had to have, this is what the two of us did all the time, was have these have these lovely lunches, and really we would talk about work and share our expertise with each other.
It reminds you of the day that you guys went to Notre Dame together and that you saw the saints and you heard bells. And there's that very similar feeling, only the only bell in this town is that clock in the middle of the fountain in the town square. And that's what reminds you that lunch is ticking by and you need to get back soon. And as Eddie is probably discussing a few of the specific statues, maybe comparing them even to the saints of Notre Dame, that might be a moment when Helena can mention the particular statue in the foyer, which is so interesting for her. Does that sound reasonable, Anna?
Yeah, that's perfect. I would probably mention it in a really skeptical way, like, I don't know if I saw it, what happened in the blood, but I do have this scarf or this blindfold, so I can just go for it. I think if anyone would listen to me and not think I'm insane, it'd be Eddie, so.
All right, so
you tell me.
Exactly do you tell him?
I mentioned that last night when we were leaving, Lucia and I went through a door that led us to some sort of passage that contained a gallows and some holding cells. We heard and saw some things. It was really damp and scary. When we opened the door, it was back into the courtroom, and this statue of Lady Justice basically turned around, looked at us, was crying blood, and then took off her blindfold that should have been stone and handed it to me, and it was cloth. So I now have a blindfold, and I wrote down what she said to me. See the truth, for I am blind. I am the protector of law and justice. Something along those lines. So that happened.
Look to my left and look to my right and be like, and you have this cloth that she handed you?
Yeah, and I can take it out and show it to you.
The cloth is a decadent. It looks initially like a paisley print. It's got a lot of that shape repeated over and over on it. And it's fairly fashionable. If slightly perhaps exotic looking, it's not a normal printed scarf that you could pick up at Macy's or the equivalent. It definitely feels, it's got that import feel to it.
I'm gonna take my hat off and I'm gonna take the cloth and I'm gonna tilt my eyes out of the top of my glasses so I can get a really good look at this thing, and I feel it and I go, well, this is a pip, isn't it? One must examine these from 2 points of view in my experience. First off, that is an extremely strange building with some extremely strange architecture that is not usually found. Yesterday when we were in there, I experienced several tricks of the light that produced some visual phenomena that I cannot fully explain. I got a weird feeling from that defense attorney, and I trust my eyes pretty well, but I don't know if I trust his. There's something going on with him, but on the one hand, the building is capable of messing with the human mind. architecture on that level is capable of it. I've seen it before. And so, and you and I have discussed that certainly. And there's things where we were that did that. However, you're holding something. We're standing here holding something that we cannot explain. And there is no doubt that before and since, last time you and I spent any time together, I have seen some shit that I cannot explain. So I suggest you keep that on you. I suggest you refrain from alcohol and that we keep our eyes open, because that is a very strange building.
It is. I agree, and I'm glad that you listened to me and didn't think I was just crazy.
Elena, under no circumstance would ever think that you are crazy.
And she's a little bit more sure in what she experienced now, so.
Lucia, as you have your orange on the steps of the courthouse, you're kind of on that last segment. You kind of very carefully open up this orange. A boy comes running over to you. He looks like a newspaper boy. His shorts are ripped at the knees. The idea that he's probably taken winter trousers and just cut them off to make them fit. He's very untidy, but he comes running to you with a note. And he forces it into your hand, even though your hands are probably covered in the juice of the orange. Just shoves it in there as hard as he can.
She doesn't react too much because, again, what she's used to working with, and she just, whilst eating the very last segment, opens the letter.
And it is a note from your youngest brother. It says that Marcus might not live. You need to find the rat. We're in hiding.
And she sort of just nods and swallows that last segment of orange and then just slides it into her pocket.
The boy holds out his hand, expecting payment for doing his messenger job.
She will hand him 2 or 3 coins and hold his hand tightly to him before he gets this. Who gave you this letter and where did you come from?
Can't tell you, miss. Told me not to.
The person who told you not to, was it a man or a woman?
Told me not to say anything.
Or what?
Or he'd do something.
To you or to me?
To my mom.
Okay. Well, you run off now. You did your job. There's nothing else for you here. Now go on.
And he doesn't need to think twice. He does look back at you though.
And she basically shoos him. She's like, go on.
And he just keeps going until he's like well out of sight around the corner of the courthouse. And I need to take another break. This water is not working for me. Hydration is hard. So what I would like to do is quickly wrap up with Bert the next part of your investigation. You go to the building, the business place of the fiancé, and you were told by his secretary that he's not there, that he hasn't been all week. And you will probably get the gossip out of her that she thinks he ran away with Victoria. And you have the impression that she is very jealous, that she had thought that she was going to marry this man.
I think Bert's both blunt enough and drunk enough to just ask her if she was having an affair. Are you sleeping with him?
She denies it, but you get the impression she would have if she could have.
Okay.
You do see, I'll let you have this free as well, is you do see on her desk that there's an article that's been cut out of the newspaper that is about a successful business deal made by Victoria's fiancé's company, that they've just come into a lot of money.
Do you know
However, once more, you do get that feeling that all doors are being closed to you.
Hmm.
That as you're getting answers, you're still not getting any resolution to the questions that you have. And time is ticking on.
I must have a friend. I've got an image in my mind of a begrudging friend who still works at the police station that doesn't like to do favors for me, but every now and again he will. Perhaps he owes me money for poker or something, I don't know.
Okay.
But, I'd like to try and get him to start running background checks if that's something I could do.
So for the third or fourth time today, you're making a phone call, and you go through the process with the operator, and you eventually track down this guy. He wasn't at the number you expected him to be at, but the operator was very helpful. And I need you to roll a luck roll to see if he is going to help you.
Oh, I have much less luck. I have much less luck than I did previously.
That's a hard success. He agrees that he will look into what specifically do you want him to look into? Specifically the fiance?
Yeah, where he would have likely have gone if there's been any reports of him around, and how he came into a lot of money.
He will agree to do this for you, and he says he will call you if he finds anything. But he hasn't got any like missing persons reports or anything, you know, that you'd maybe check in on.
Okay.
There's no missing persons, no warrants. The guy's never heard of him, but he'll look into it. But it's not going to be a quick thing, and this is normal. This would be a normal situation
Yeah,
where
yeah.
he'll go and check records and things.
I'll just get that burning. And,
Yeah, sorry, Alice, I reordered your brothers. So yeah, with that, and this feeling of doors just constantly being shut to you, you have a choice. You can either stay in the city, but you won't be contactable by phone because you have no phone here, or you can go back to privacy and wait there for a call.
yeah,
Unless you can think of secret option number 3.
as much as I'd love to, I can't think of an option number 3, so I will make my way back home.
Okay. At home, it's a very still day, and it reminds you of being in the courtroom. Reminds you of that waiting feeling, that anxious feeling. Everything feels stale in the house. And it's a really hot afternoon, even for September, and it's nearly suffocating in here. But I assume you continue to wait.
Yeah, I'll continue to wait.
Around 5 o'clock, you get a phone call.
Hey, that's quicker than I was expecting. I was expecting to wait a few days. I'll
On the
take
other
that
end of the phone is Mr. Sparks, wanting to know where the hell you are. Well, where are you? I mean, obviously you're home, but where have you been? I've been calling you all day.
Urgent police investigation. There's been trouble in the city, relatives, lots of investigative stuff, and I'd like to fast talk him with
All right,
some legal
fast talk
jargon.
Because you have the feeling he's about to swear out warrants against you for not turning up for jury service.
Oh, luck be a lady. Yes. Woo!
He is convinced by the fact that you've clearly been doing something important to you today. And he's also convinced by the fact that you're a PI and there might be future favors that he needs that might be useful. So keeping you sweet is in his interest. And he says, well, you better turn up now because they're about to call you. And I've been covering all day.
Okay, yeah. Thanks for covering for me, Sparks. I'm just about done here. I'll head in right now. I'll be there in the time it takes for you to have a cigarette.
or a sandwich. I ate your lunch from Gloria's. Cheers. And he hangs up.
Yeah. And I'll just sort of like look and be like, no, you didn't.
Alright, I'm going to take a real quick break. But what essentially happens is for the three of you, you return to the room in the red doored room, and you're waiting, and you're waiting. And it's just like the same as the day, only this time Mr. Sparks is kind of in and out. You get the feeling things are happening, and a couple more jurors join you as you are nearing 12, but you're still at 11. And then at about 7 o'clock in the evening, when it's normally quitting time, you're coming to understand as part of the routine, that's when Bert joins you. He has been finally selected and approved to join the jury. And I shall leave you to talk amongst yourselves while I run away.
Well, look who's decided to join us.
Hello, Bert.
Last time I
Hi.
saw you, you were 4 or 5 sheets to the wind, my friend.
Nope. Nope, that must have been someone else. I'm professional. So, is this shit been as boring as I expect it's been?
Yes.
Good. Good.
I think that's your. I enjoyed your musical.
Wow,
Your
all
musical
this gold
talents
is for
from
me.
last night. You.
Thank you, you guys.
Do you remember singing and putting on one hell of a show?
It was rather amusing.
If I say yes, we're all gonna go with it, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I remember.
let me guess, the coffee. And she sort of raises her eyebrows. I gave you was a little bit strong for you.
No. Good coffee. Very much enjoyed.
Oh, I know it's good coffee. I just don't know if you can take it that strong.
No.
Italian coffee is the best coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, and that bottle I found this morning of coffee, that was, woo! That was exceptional.
I don't serve it in bottles.
Well, okay. That's interesting. The hell did I drink out of a bottle this morning?
This is literally like she doesn't want people to hear that you're drinking out of a bottle at her cafe.
You know, bottled coffee, the best.
Yeah, it's gonna be a thing in the future. It'll come in vending machines. Great.
Vending machines.
Malhadale donates to give Lucia a 20.
Yay, thank you.
To recap, the keeper has a disadvantage and 5 nat 20s. I have a nat 20 and a nat 1. Anna has a nat 20 and advantage and a nat 1. Travis has a 20 and advantage and a nat 1. And Lucia has a 20 and advantage and a nat 1. That's right, keeper. We all have a nat 1.
I don't need
I'd be
to
like,
use that. Like, I've rolled so badly that I don't need to use that.
Like I go like, speaking of coffee, and I look at Helena and I go, do you know what I miss?
What?
Baguettes with brie
I love
and butter. I had one every day while I was there for like 6 months. It was magic. I dream of them at night.
I like how we've caught up to like the exact place we left off, whatever how many years ago it was.
It's,
And as you are all
special thing.
growing, sorry,
It's a special thing. Go on.
and as you're all probably growing hungry because it is approaching dinner time and letting out time, you are all summoned by Mr. Sparks. And the jury is marched through the courthouse and up the flight of stairs that are in the foyer, along a long corridor, and up another flight of stairs. And you are brought into the courtroom. The same courtroom as you had been in yesterday, but you were in here just a little while ago. It's only the judge in there now, Mr. Sparks, and the additional jury secretary who works in the courtroom. The judge looked exasperated. It has been a very long day for him, and he is definitely relieved that the jury is finally filled out. You are walked along the 2 benches and told these will be your seats for the duration of the trial, that you should sit in the same place every day, and some very basic instructions for general things. And then the judge clears his throat and takes over from Mr. Sparks. Gentlemen and ladies, you are now the jury in this case. I want you all to take a few moments to think about your duty as jurors, and I will take a few moments to give you some instructions to help you with those. At the end of the trial, I will give you more detailed instructions, and those instructions will control your deliberations. It will be your duty to decide from the evidence what the facts are. You and you alone are the judges of fact. You will hear the evidence and decide what the facts are, and then you will apply the facts to the law that I give you. That is how you will reach your verdict. In doing so, you must follow that law whether you agree with it or not. And he pointedly looks at Eddie. The evidence will consist of the testimony of witnesses, documents, and other things received as exhibits, and any facts on which the lawyers agree or which I may instruct you to accept. You should not take anything I may say or do during the trial as an indication of what I think the believability or significance of the evidence to be, or, in fact, what your verdict should be. The law and justice are in your hands. Outside of this case, you must not discuss, outside this courtroom, you must not discuss the details of the trial with anyone, save for when all 12 of you are present. And he goes through a few things that would get you in trouble, basically, covering the behavior, the secrets that you're going to have to keep. And he warns you that anyone approaching you and attempting to tamper with your verdict should be reported to the court. And he informs you that you will be beginning a trial not tomorrow, but the day after. So you have one free day before the trial will begin. And he does expect the trial to take at least 2 weeks. If it is extended beyond that point, there will be a consultation. That is basically what you were told. And he turns to you and says, now we must swear you in. And Mr. Sparks produces a very battered Bible. And one by one, you are asked to lay your hands on it and swear an oath. Which basically kind of, truth, justice, etc. Does anyone hesitate in the swearing of this oath?
No. I just kind of like blah my way through it. I'm like, fine, whatever baloney
Yeah,
I
me
gotta
too.
say.
I don't believe in this religion, but I understand the necessity to do this, so I do it.
Lucia hesitates really briefly, not because of what it is, because she doesn't plan on lying or anything like that, but because her mother was strict Catholic, and that is why she hesitates briefly, but then just remembers...
Pause before the solemn vow.
Yeah, just sort of almost talking to herself, it's absolutely fine, and then swears it.
And Bert, how do you take this oath?
But yeah, it's just a matter of course. He's probably taken this oath several times. He's been brought as a witness and stuff to things before, so he'll just place swear before God.
Perfect. And you are then dismissed for the night and told to come back on Thursday morning. So you have a whole day off tomorrow. But he does, again caution you, don't discuss the details of this case, and if you are approached, you must report it to the court.
I know where I'm going tomorrow.
So, you're all released from the courthouse for the day. What do you do this evening? Does anyone do anything they feel is significant?
Well, I want to catch up with Lucia on our way out of the courthouse before I forget or before I lose track of her, and I hand her a white paper envelope, and it's got several $100 in cash in it, and I tell her, by the way, this is the VIG. I'm gonna pay down the principal when I can. If you'd give it to your eldest, I would sure appreciate it. I know that's not how we normally do this, but you're going that way anyway. Is that all right?
And she sort of just takes the envelopes and the envelope in two fingers and puts it in her coat. She said, "Thank you for this, Eddie." And she sort of thinks back to what's happened to Marcus, like, it puts you in the clear for some things. And I
Appreciate
like you. So come by for a coffee later. And she sort of swans off.
Eddie takes a big deep breath because that's the last of the petty cash. That's what I do. Then I go get dinner.
So Bert's just gonna head home. He's not gonna speak to anyone really. He's just gonna head home, go and wait by the phone, see if he can get any information back from his contact, and probably be doing some research of his own into his daughter. Really, what she's been getting up to since the last time we spoke to her. It's been a long time.
And how would you do that research?
That's a good question. That's a very good question. I can't exactly Google it. I guess I'd go and start looking through public records. Is that what people used to do? I'd go and look through public records.
I mean, okay, so the options I can see for you is you could go down to the courthouse, but it seems unlikely anything would really be filed here, since she lives in the city. You could speak to Helena, who is mentioned in the letter, and you know has a relationship, or had a relationship, friendship with your daughter.
Yeah.
Or you could call someone else in the family.
I don't think he'd readily go to Helena. I have a feeling that Helena would be one of the last people that he would go to. Sorry, Hannah. So I think he would probably ring... I'm trying to think who else there is in the family. I mean, her mother's not around anymore. She doesn't have any kids or anything. She's the only child of mine. Oh, she might have a cousin or something, actually. I wouldn't phone my uncle, but I might have cousins. So I'd ring one of my cousins and just be like, well, I'd just ask if they'd heard anything about Victoria.
Okay, let's make a luck roll. We'll see if you strike on someone who does know something.
Oh, hoo-hoo.
So in this case, you basically spend like an hour and a half, 2 hours on the phone, basically talking to the operator more than talking to anyone else. People either haven't seen Victoria recently, or they don't really know what's going on, or they don't answer their phones. And it's probably a frustrating situation for you as you try and rack your brain for someone to call. But at this point, you get nothing.
Yeah, so then I guess I wouldn't check the courthouse, because like you say, she lives in the city. There wouldn't be anything there. I guess in desperation, I'd wait until I next see Helena and try and strike up a conversation with Helena.
Chia, what are you doing tonight? You're muted, Alice.
Lucia, as much as she's desperate to go and check on her brother, she walks straight past the place, not wanting, again, because she feels like she's being followed. She's not sure if anyone's watching her to find her brother. So she will walk back to the coffee shop, open up again, and start setting up for the evening. she will have her shotgun more ready underneath the counter itself, and as much as she's wearing a smile on her face and talking to all of her customers, she is judging every single one of them that walks in there.
Night is a strange night. In terms of people who associate explicitly with your brothers, there's a very low count of them coming in tonight. There have definitely been ripples within your community that something is going on with your family, and, you know, familiar faces aren't turning up.
Would I know where any of them lived?
I think that is fair enough to assume. You would probably know where a few of these people live.
If there's just one in particular that she thinks is a, you know, normally there every single night, like literally.
Okay, who is this person? Tell me.
This is a weedy little guy, who normally sort of wants to be a part of everything, but he's not particularly good or trustworthy. Always tries to sort of suck up to the brothers and sometimes her quite a lot of times. She wants to know what he knows and why no one else is here.
Alright. So I'm going to ask you to make a luck roll as well, much the same as Bert did, and we'll see how the encounter goes.
If I can find luck. Oh, there it is. How did I fail on that? I have 78 luck. Can I roll again for advantage, or?
Yes. If you have an advantage to use it, yes, I'll let you roll
Yes,
now.
please.
We'll go for it.
Success. Only by 4. Jesus.
You make your way out of the cafe. You've left it in the hands of a couple of people, you know, servers you trust. You're going to be back. It's not too far for you to go.
Before she leaves, she will take just like a kitchen knife with her and a small pistol, which was actually probably her mother's rather than any other member of the family's.
Alright, the shotgun's staying.
Yes, I don't think she can stroll down the road with that in daylight.
I mean, you could. I'm not gonna.
Well, she would, but she's about to be seen at court. So.
Right. So the way to what's this guy's name?
This guy's name is Norman.
Alright, the way to Norman's house is you go out of the cafe and around the back. There's like a small copsey kind of area between the two streets, and it's the quickest way is to cut across this copsey area, and the easiest way not to be seen as well. And it leads down to a wooded lane at the end of which is Norman's house. And the entire way across this small wooded area with the damp leaves under feet, you are convinced there is someone following you.
Yeah, she's twitching. She is constantly looking either side of her, almost trying not to make it obvious, but she's constantly peering around, and she has the gun, which is actually up her sleeve. She's constantly just double checking it's there. She's wearing one of her brother's coats.
And what is Lucia thinking about as she passes through the center of this wooded area where it's darkest and she is loneliest?
She thinks the person following her is the rat, is what she thinks. And that Norman better tell her something useful.
As you pass through, the sky above has a stormy glow to it. That weird grey just hiding the indigo and the stars. And you're forced to look up because you hear a bird just hopping from branch to branch above you. And it's not helping in that eerie feeling, and you're maybe trying to rationalize it's just a bird making noises. But I do know someone's following me, and it's probably that rat. And as you get into the center, your foot sinks into a very wet puddle.
And she's like, ugh, and just kicks off like if it's mud or anything, just away.
And as you do that, there's a flash of lightning. And the entire area is illuminated, and you are convinced you see someone behind you on that path.
She will turn around immediately and draw her pistol and point it in the direction. Probably quite shaky, but she would. Who is following me?
it's dark again. The lightning has screwed your night vision, and you are squinting into these shadows, and you're reminded of that abyss, that absence beyond the door that Helena opened yesterday. And you hear the thunder rumble overhead, and there's another lightning flash. And there on the path behind you, about 6 foot tall, the body of a man, the head of a rat, with arms made of tree branches, is a figure staring at you.
She freezes, like she's still pointing the gun in the direction which is just she tries to keep her voice steady. She's like, I was not expecting the literal.
The thunder rumbles around and the world is dark again, and I need you to make a sanity check.
Oh god. No, okay, it doesn't like that. Hang on, I'm gonna have to roll this one. Yes.
Success, I imagine.
Yes.
All right. As the lightning rolls in again, and you were waiting for it. This storm is close. This storm is right overhead, and you can feel the rain beginning to thunder down around you. You see the space where the creature had been is empty, and the sensation that you are being followed is beginning to fade from your mind.
She's backing up still, like, and she sort of turns towards Norman's house and she just runs. She just runs straight to the house, glancing back every now and then.
You know that right now you are not being followed, that what you saw, you are convinced is not real, that it is a trick of shadow and darkness and fear, and just the pressure on you.
Yeah, she pulls the pistol back into her sleeve and shakes her head, and she's just like, don't question yourself, and keeps running towards Norman's house.
You get to Norman's house and it is bucketing down with rain. Your clothing is just sticking to your skin. The shape of the pistol is really clear under your sleeve.
Yeah.
It's just hanging over the metal. But there are lights on. It seems that someone is home.
She drums on the door.
You drum on the door and a scrawny man opens it. He's very pale. He's got large wire glasses on, and a thin little pencil mustache that he's very proudly been growing.
It's like, hello, Norman. Can we have a chat?
What's the idea? And he
Yeah,
stands
'cause
back.
I'm getting quite damp out here now. If you could hurry up and move.
Yes, yes. What are you doing in the rain?
I'm coming to you. And she just goes in and takes off her heavy jacket.
And he kind of skirts around you to kind of take it off of you. And
He's like, don't fuss. And she just puts the gun down on the table in front of him. He goes, now sit down.
I didn't see you at the cafe today. I came by to say hello.
Where? When were you at the cafe?
About 3 o'clock.
I was absent. I said I would be for the next week or so.
Yes, they said you were at the courthouse. But I didn't believe them. That doesn't sound like something you would do.
I was at the courthouse.
Oh. And he looks genuinely taken aback, like feeling like he's just like dug himself a little hole.
Now, Norman, and she just sort of shuffles the chair in a little bit. Is it? Where is everyone? I'm missing a lot of my customers. I miss them.
Your customers? I haven't done anything. I didn't say anything to anyone. I don't know anything. He like instantly is hopping on the defensive.
So quick to judge yourself. I came here for a friendly chat. I just thought, you're one of my favorite customers. I thought you might know where the rest went.
Well, since I am your favorite, I tell you what I know. And he comes like right up to you, and he's like looking around as if there's gonna be anyone listening in his house. So he's like making a big show of it. He wants to impress you. And he says, "They say Marcus is dead."
Marcus is not dead. Do you think I would be here wearing a smile on my face if Marcus was dead?
And he's trying to like evaluate what to say to you, and he adds on, they say you,
They say I did it.
they say you're the new boss.
Who said I did it?
The dairyman. And you know the owner of the dairy, he's not Italian, but he has connections with you guys.
She leans in to Norman and goes, what do you believe?
What do you tell me is the truth?
I am telling you Marcus is not dead, and I am telling you I did not kill him. If I wanted him dead, I don't want him dead. He's too useful for me.
Marcus is a very good man, I've always said this.
Where is my father? Where is he?
And at this, he looks like the shiftiest he has looked the entire time you've been here. He told me not to tell you.
Well, I can tell you where he is. My father is in jail. I put him in jail. If I don't like people, I put them in jail. I don't kill just off the cuff.
Lucia, your father is not in jail.
Where is he? And she sort of pulls the gun back towards her.
He told me not to tell you, but he is not in jail.
He told you not to tell me. Now, I think you should tell me.
And at this moment, we go to Eddie and Helena.
Oh, come on. Oh, no. I was into that. No. Oh. Got the tension with a knife. Go ahead. Sorry.
Helena, what are you doing, having been reassured by Eddie's belief in you and let loose from the courthouse for the night?
I would go back to my room. I'm assuming I can get in even if Lucia isn't there.
I imagine you've got a key for the back door that lets you up.
Okay, so I would have gone back. I don't know if my partner is currently in the room or if she's doing her own thing right now. I would prefer if I could just like have an alone.
Okay, so we will say that your partner has gone back to the city for a meeting tonight. One that you knew you couldn't go to because you didn't know what was going on with jury service. So she's gone back to the city tonight on the train, and she's gonna stay there, and she'll be back tomorrow.
Okay, so that's perfect. So I will go back to the room, and I'm gonna look over the letters again, and also I will take out my journal and make some more notes about basically what happened and my talk with Eddie about how he validated some of the things that happened, so I can kind of not feel as insane, I guess, since everything that happened didn't make any sense. But since I have this piece of cloth that is very real, or at least seems real, and he validated the things that I told him, so I'm going to write a little bit about that. That's not really something I want to share with anyone else, I think.
Okay.
And then considering the letter from my father, I don't think I'm going to be able to because of the jury summons. And I know that this is something that I would probably be hiding from him, as to that I'm on a jury and that I'm in this town and whatever. So he probably doesn't know where I am or what I'm doing. I kind of do that a lot. I kind of just go off and do things. And he doesn't respect my lifestyle. He knows a little bit about it. But I would say that he kind of pretends that it's not real. And so he kind of just deals with it because he knows he can't control me really. So he's probably assuming I'm off doing something that I shouldn't be, and that's probably why he's calling me back to try and get me to come back to dinner. So I'm going to need to either phone him or send him a letter. I think it would be more my character to send him a letter rather than confrontation over the phone. So I will write that up and say I'm unable to attend. I have something important going on. And send that. Well, I guess I could send it the next day, but have that written out.
As you contemplate this letter, you kind of pause, I imagine, to kind of make sure the wording's right. You have the scarf from the statue there with you, and I'm gonna imagine that there's something as you're thinking about that something important you're doing. You think about justice, and you think about the weird incidents and Eddie and everything you've just been writing about, and the scarf kind of captures your attention. And I need you to make a sanity roll.
Okay.
Oh, actually, no, sorry, a power roll. My bad, a power roll.
Ooh, failed.
Okay. As you
You do also have an advantage to use up, Anna.
I kind of want to see what happens with a fail.
okay, I was gonna say if she uses the advantage, I'll just fail her. That's spoken. I will have no more of these advantages. No. So as the scarf gets your attention, you see that paisley pattern, and the more you look at it, the more it shifts and appears as if eyes, many eyes looking at you, moving around, different colors, different shapes, and you can almost imagine all of the faces they belong to. And all of these faces give you the emotion of being condemned, being judged, the weight of guilt. And for now, you are hypnotized midway through this letter, just staring at these ever-shifting eyes, and you feel compelled from now on to wear this scarf at all times.
Okay. So do I put it on now? Because I was gonna do that. I was gonna see if I could put it in my eyes.
So yeah, so you are compelled at all times to wear this scarf, and until a future notice, you judge harshly anything you perceive as a wrongdoing. You react in a more extreme way than you normally would.
Okay.
And I'll leave that to your judgment as to how you interpret that. But until I'll let you know when, you are more judgmental and reactionary to wrongdoing.
Okay, and I'm gonna be wearing the scarf over my eyes at all times, or just wearing it?
However, no, you just wear it however you'd like, but it needs to be probably in connection with your skin. So around the wrist, around your neck, in your hair, probably would be close enough. You don't have to wear it across your eyes.
Okay.
Okay. And at which point we will go back to Lucia for a moment, facing off with Norman, with the news that her father isn't where she thinks he is. And what was your last question to Norman, Lucia?
I think it was just where is he?
Make either a psychology or a spot hidden.
I'm bad at both. Okay, let's do
Either
this.
it depends. If you're looking for
It's a
clues
fail.
from him, then use psychology. If you're looking for clues from around this place, then it would be spot hidden.
It was meant to be okay. I failed. It was meant to be psychology. I was watching him.
Okay.
Can I just intimidate him? Like, just...
So looking at him, you just like get that nervous energy from him, but he's always nervous and he's always trying to like impress you. But there's definitely something torn. You don't know what to do with this energy. It's just flustered. It's not helping you. It's not getting you answers. You can make an intimidation if you'd like to, and tell me how you intimidate Norman.
It's another fail. I'm just not doing well today. Never mind.
So the way I imagine this going is you have that gun and you probably like jerk towards it, like give me an answer or I'm gonna make tonight not good for you. But as you do so, you have a memory of that moment in the woods and the utter fear and the strangeness of facing an actual creature, an actual rat man, and it causes your hand to shake. And at that moment, Norman makes a break for it. He is getting out of there. And in his squirrely way, he dodges past you and out of a back door and is running through the storm in the night.
Can I try to shoot him in the leg on the way out?
Sure. Make me an attack roll.
How do I do this?
So there should be a weapon attack.
Is it firearms? Is it...
Yes. I think you roll a D100 against your firearm.
There should be different firearms for different weapons, so I think you'd want firearms RS, which is rifles and shotguns, I think.
Yeah. Okay, I'll go for that then.
Well, this is a pistol, right?
This is a pistol.
Oh,
It's
sorry.
alright, I failed that as well anyway, so hang on.
Okay.
So what is it supposed to be, that one? Yeah, another fail. I just this is bad.
All right. So you should. Your hand is still shaking, and the shot just goes into the dark and actually rings around town. Eddie, your hotel is not actually that far from here, and you hear the gunshot in the night. What are you doing?
Well, I think before that, after reading the evening edition of the paper and eating my dinner quietly to myself, I went back to my incredibly depressing apartment, where I start looking around for things to sell for money, such as my phonograph and my complete Caruso wax cylinder collection, which I'm considering selling, which would break my heart. And then I think a stack of newspapers kind of slides over as I'm going through this, revealing my complete collection of everything that Helena Hawthorne has ever published, and which I keep sort of not in any place of distinction, but I have it and have been collecting it. Then I attempt to go to bed, which never goes well. And then, I wake up with a start when I hear a gunshot. And I put my face on, and I throw on my pants and my shoes and go take a look around, because I can't sleep anyway.
Okay. It's especially hard to sleep as the storm is blowing around in heavy gusts. I'm really stirring the sheet-like rain, which you imagine would just be going like horizontal at this point, and it's just throwing it everywhere. Do you go towards the sound of the gunshot?
Yes.
Okay, so from where you are, you also have to cross the woods, and it is a particularly frightening prospect in the current weather. Do you still continue?
Am right.
Okay. Lucia, you stare out as you see Norman just fleeing into the dark. What do you do?
She ponders for a second on the information that she's been told. And then pockets the gun again. Shrugs on her big coat, pulls up I've completely forgotten the collar. That's the word. Puts her hat back on and starts walking back out into the night.
Helena, you've just escaped the rapture of the scarf and tied it onto your person. Where did you tie it? How are you wearing it?
I've been trying to think of how I wanted to do that. I think I would maybe like what's it called?
Like an
Are you-
ascot?
Sorry, what?
Like an ascot?
Yeah, ascot. Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
And I think, because I think it's cool, the witch that you've been reading about earlier today and the idea that she was hung, that's what brought tying it around your neck to mind.
Yes.
Why I'm going to say you chose that. As you finish doing that and you're checking yourself in the mirror, you also hear the gunshot, the cafe with the apartments above it not being far from the woods in Norman's house. How does Helena react?
Out the window. And then I don't know if I would like go downstairs or anything, but I think I would go to whatever window I have and just kind of look out.
Looking out, you see this storm stirring the branches of the heavy trees, starting to shake the still green leaves off of the boughs, and the strikes of lightning illuminate the place, casting really strange shadows out there. But you don't see anything out in the storm. Eddie, you run through the woods, through the copse, through the damp undergrowth. You trip in the same puddle that Lucia had trodden in about 10 minutes ago. And you see the house. Everything seems still in this moment. And the tension rises within you, as even though the weather is battering around you, this place is too still. It tells you in your gut that there is danger here. Your survival instinct is kicking in, and you know that you have a choice. You can, in how you approach the house, if you approach the house, or if you decide to turn back.
Oh, are you kidding? Turn back to what? I keep a Colt 45 in the back waistband of my trousers at all times, and I put one hand into my coat behind me and, in full Solid Snake crouch, approach the house.
As you approach the house, you see that there was a dinner in progress in the dining room. As you look in through that window, that's the first window you come to. And you can see beyond that, through an archway, it's a semi-open plan kind of situation, that there is a figure in the living room beyond.
A figure in the living room beyond that I cannot identify, yes?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird angle. You know there's someone there, you see them moving, but you can't identify who it
All
is.
this gold is for me.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
is there another part of the house where I could get a better look at this, at the living room?
You would have to go around the side of the house. You figure there's probably windows on that side. Knowing general architecture stuff, you'd have an idea there are windows on that side of the house.
Oh, sure.
But you also know that's probably where the back door is.
Yeah, well, I know enough about B&E to know that you don't just go walking into this person's house, even if my spidey sense is tingling. So I'm going to very carefully tiptoe around the side of the house and look in all the windows and try to get a better look at.
Okay, can you make a
Whoever's
stealth roll for me, please?
Why, sure. My stealth is 20, so that's good times.
Also, Grant donates 2 crit successes to Anna. World's greatest bug mom. Sorry, the Streamlabs notifications aren't working. We'll try and fix that between the streams.
Thank you.
Don't I have a 20?
Have a 20. You have an advantage, and you have a nat 1.
I'm gonna take my 20 on this stealth roll going around the side of this house. I creep up on Cat's paws.
Okay. You creep around, remembering back to the Tijuana Bibles and all of the sneaky cat burglars and the
Sure.
investigative gumshoes and
If you're gonna steal porn from your uncle, you've got to be real quiet while you're doing it.
all of the, yeah, exactly, and the literal things that you have snuck around doing in the dark,
Oh, yeah.
which other people don't need to know about in detail. And you find your
No.
way to this lounge, off of which there's like a side porch where the back door is, as you expected. And peering in to the warm light, you see Lucia,
Oh,
and she
Okay.
holds a gun in her hand, which still shakes.
okay. I got my right hand behind me. I got my left hand up like this, and I'm gonna go in the back door.
Lucia, a man appears at the back door, stepping into your vision, where you had been staring into the dark after Norman.
She immediately just like whips her head round and looks, keeping the gun in her hand. She doesn't know he's seen the gun, so
I am going to, in this moment, ask you to make a power check to see if you are of presence of mind enough to recognize Eddie in this moment.
oh well, I'm gonna fail it. Yeah, there we go.
Oh
In this
Run,
moment,
Eddie!
you see an unexpected. I'm going to still leave it in your judgment as to how this happens, but you see an unexpected man step up. He's not the smallest man in the world, is our Eddie, from what I remember. And his very strange features on his face and the heavy shadow. And he is unexpected. What does Lucia do?
Lucia, do I see him hold his hand out?
Yes, you can probably see the white of that hand.
Okay,
You also
so
see the gun in the other hand.
she will turn to face him, have the gun ready, but not pointed at him.
Okay.
Right. Who is there?
Okay, so I hear her say, "Who is there?" You got to think about the fact that she can't recognize me, doesn't see me. I produce my right hand, and I go, "How was the orange?"
And she like her hand completely shakes and she just drops the gun on the floor. She's like, it was delightful, Eddie. Thank you. I'm sorry. And she sort of tries to like pull herself together, and she quickly picks up the gun and puts it in her position. I am sorry you see me in this position. And she's dressed in her brother's clothes. She's drenched, and she's got like his flat cap on. She's got his big jumper on, trousers and jacket. Like, you gave me a bit of a fright.
I want to walk like right up to her in her personal space and I'll put both hands on her shoulders if she'll allow me.
Yeah, she knows who you are. She doesn't. Yeah.
Like, are you okay?
I don't know yet.
At which point there's a thunder crack overhead. You don't see the lightning this time. It's just a loud rumble, and the whole house seems to shake.
I think we need to get the hell out of here.
I would like to go home.
And I'm gonna like move her swiftly out of the house.
Yeah, she's still not too sure what's going on. She's not moving how she normally moves. She's not with
Ed,
it.
where are you taking Lucia?
You gotta let me carry her. You gotta let me pick her up.
You can carry the Italian woman. Where are you taking her?
Carry the
Out.
Italian woman.
She's not. This is 27. They're not fit. You gotta help out. The chivalry is not dead. You gotta pick her up, and you gotta take her out the back door and get the hell out of there.
She wants to look as innocent as possible right now. She will let him do this.
Okay.
Ah.
Eddie, are you going back to your place or to the cafe? Or to somewhere?
Good one. I go to the cafe, and we're gonna go through the back way.
Okay.
She'll basically go back into the cafe, and she's sort of shaking. So, would you like a coffee? And you see her making herself a coffee and pouring alcohol into it.
So I imagine the back way for the cafe is going to bring you into the kitchen. That's where all the supplies are dropped. Is
Yeah.
that kind of situation, as opposed to the back door, which takes you upstairs. This is the back door, which will take you into the kitchen.
Can I just, as well, thank you very much to Potato Hollow, who gifts a tier 1 sub to Travis. Travis, with your sub, you get to gift a nat 1 or 20 to a player or DM of your choice.
Of my choice?
Of your choice.
Oh shit.
So you can essentially pay to win, or you can give it to someone else.
Well, I'm gonna keep that damn shit then.
You're the
With
only one who
respect to
doesn't
my
have
players.
one.
Yeah, do it. Take it.
Just because I carried you out the building doesn't mean you get to get everywhere.
Chivalry's not dead.
not dead. It's sleeping now.
Thank you.
But
Yeah, thank you.
But
you have fallen asleep next to the phone. I imagine the alcohol is not far away, if it probably still grasped in your hand even. And you dream again of the tall man that looms over you, of the wide hat and the dark jacket, and the face you cannot see. And you see him raise the gun that glints. And it's very much like a comic that you would see of the gumshoes of the time. There's that heavy black shading. Everything's very angular and outlined. And the gun points dead at you and comes closer and closer to your face. You can nearly feel metal resting against your head. And you hear a gunshot.
So his first check is going to be, am I in heaven?
Looking around, you see the familiar chipping sideboard. You see the familiar wallpaper peeling off of the wall, the damp spot of the ceiling above your head. Unless you consider your house heaven, this isn't looking good.
It's closer to the other place. Yeah, Oh, okay, so I hear a gunshot. I'll get up and investigate. I'll loosen the fastener on my own gun and I'll stand and make my way to the window closest to the noise, whichever one that is, and I'll peer through the blinds.
Part of you is not sure if it's the shot that is always in your dream or if it was a real shot. And as you go to the window, you look around. Is there like an investigation skill?
There is.
Looks like we got a new friend.
Listen. And there is spot hidden.
I'm gonna say listen is probably the most appropriate skill that Bert would be using right now, as he's trying to figure out where that gunshot was. Probably listen for movement, see that sort of thing.
No, epic fail.
No. Listening, you just hear the howl of the wind, and it's rattling actually through an open window in your house, and it's causing one of the doors to bang, and the thunder overhead is just rolling around like a bowling ball.
Oh. I'll go and I'll put something in front of that door so it doesn't keep banging. I'm not gonna fix it, I'm just gonna grab, like, I don't know, a wedge of something and maybe some letters, and I'll just wedge it underneath and...
The bills go under the door and just keep it from opening. Keep it
that's,
from the constant banging.
that's perfect. What time is it? He's got no idea.
Looking around and seeing the clock, I'm gonna say it's probably about 10:30, 11. By the time Lucia had kind of sorted out her cafe business and gotten changed and decided to go, I'm gonna say it's about 10:30, 11.
Okay, well... Nothing's come through the phone today, then. He's gonna do something very uncharacteristic, seeing as it's late and that he's up and nothing's happened. He's going to get changed for bed and go to bed like a normal person.
Okay. Bert sets in for the night, unsure if the gunshot was real or imagined, listening to the storm rumble around and probably thinking quite a lot about his daughter and the strange predicament and the storm that had torn through her apartment.
Oh yeah, that's true. Remembering that, he's going to he doesn't put his gun in the drawer next to the nightstand. Well, he does. There's a drawer in the gun next to the nightstand, but he doesn't keep it loaded. His real gun he tapes to the wall.
Okay.
Just above his pillow, just so that, like, as he's sleeping, he can grab it easily.
So you would say he goes to bed with a feeling of threat?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Perfect.
Definitely. He feels threatened. He feels scared. He feels worried, not only for himself, but mostly for his daughter. Yeah, he's scared.
Helena, you are alone. You finish, I imagine, writing the letter for your father. You don't hear any more gunshots going off. Just the storm rattling around. You hear people coming and going in the cafe, but that's normal. There's nothing odd about that for you. What do you do tonight?
Sleep.
Sleep.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that I would have thought of the gunshot I heard as just thunder or lightning or something, so I probably wouldn't have been too worried about it.
Mm-hmm.
After looking out the window, I would have seen nothing, just the storm. I feel a little consumed with the trial and waiting to see where it's going to go, and like I feel a strong sense of I need to inflict justice upon somebody, somehow, somewhere. So that kind of overtakes me as I fall to sleep. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. Eddie and Lucia, you are drinking coffee in the cafe. It's a pretty quiet night. The servers are taking care of the few people that are still kind of lurking and enjoying their liquor. What does the rest of the night hold?
Lucia is just staring at her coffee, just thinking. She's grounded herself again now, and now her brain is just going 100 miles an hour.
You're muted, Travis.
Oh, there we are. Hi. I am drinking regular Roadhouse Rot Gut black coffee, sans booze, and kind of keeping an eye on Lucia. Not, I know this young lady to be completely capable of handling herself, and I have more than one circumstance that would keep me there, making sure that she is okay and, makes it through the night with my gentle supervision. And then one question is, I would like to establish the evening edition of the paper, which is always one of my favorite things about this, that another paper would come out late afternoon, early evening.
When it comes to editions of the paper, in the city, you know there are no less than 8 editions. Out here in Privacy, there are 4 editions a day.
You're damn right. So did the Dairy Hit make the evening edition?
There is a report of cows spilling onto Main Street late last night, and that there was a disturbance, but there is no report of any further crime or anything.
Okay. All right. Well, then I just read that as any other normal thing. And I think that I don't sleep if I can help it. Until Lucia, tells me she's going to go to bed or something, I'm just going to sit there and keep an eye on her all night if I have to.
Okay. Lucia, what is your bed situation tonight?
First, she sort of drains her coffee, and as the last people sort of filter out, she stands and thanks Eddie, like really sincerely. She is genuinely feeling thankful. And once she shows him out, she does her standard routine, but this time she takes the shotgun up to her bedroom with her.
Okay.
And keeps the knife under her pillow.
Do you leave the cafe when Lucia basically shows you out?
Yes.
Okay. Lucia, as you go to bed tonight, how are you feeling?
She is nervous. As she shuts the door after hearing about her father, she pulls, whether she's got a desk or something, in front of that door. And it takes her a while to get to sleep, but she does eventually sleep. But she's got a knife under her pillow and a shotgun under her bed.
Strangely, for the first time since yesterday, when you're alone, you don't feel that feeling of being followed and being watched until you close your eyes and fall asleep. And then you know someone is watching, and you know who is watching you. And that fills you with more dread than whatever phantom had been chasing you through the cops. And Eddie, how do you feel as you finally shut yourself up in bed?
Well, we've had some excitement. I've drank way too much coffee. I think he sits down, and having noticed that he's got a stack of it over there, I think he picks up a random thing that Helena Hawthorne has written and just reads, and just sort of reads some of her work and attempts to read himself to sleep.
What is the story that Eddie reads tonight?
It would probably be a murder mystery with feminist kind of themes underlying that.
Okay.
I don't write a lot of sci-fi or anything like that. I write more like true crime, but with a fictional twist.
The key... Okay, so 2 questions. What is the twist? And what was the methodology for the murder? I'll let you think about it. I'll come back to you.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
you have severe trouble sleeping tonight.
Yeah.
Every tiny sound makes you want to reach for that gun.
Oh yeah.
You're still Eddie.
He's getting me wrong.
Every other thought is something terrible happening to your daughter, is seeing that apartment, is hearing the letter read in her voice, and feeling in your gut the pain. Whether you understand it or not, you know that your child was in pain as she wrote this letter, that she wanted to be free from that pain. And you spend time racking your brain about it, that she doesn't mention she has any money troubles, that she's just, she's gonna go away and be free, that she's booking tickets, that she wants to be good enough for Helena, It's just like the same things over and over, and you drift off and you come back with the noise as the wind or some imagined creaking floorboard, something like that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but when I first went to the courthouse, I got the addresses where everyone was staying, right?
Yes. You know very much where everyone, well, you know specifically where Helena is staying, and you know that Lucia stays at the same place.
Yeah. Well then, what I think I'll do is, I'll get up real early because I'm not sleeping much anyway. And the next morning I'll make my way over to the hotel about 5 AM and I'll just sit in the lobby and wait to see Helena to see what she does on her day off. And
Okay,
sort
so
of...
she's not staying in the hotel, she's staying at the apartments above the cafe.
Oh, right, I see. I see.
Eddie's in the hotel.
In that case, I imagine the cafe opens pretty early, right? Give people coffee on their way to work?
Yeah.
So I'll just head to the cafe and just wait and see if I can spot Helena.
Alright, and that is where we'll pick up next week. So thank you very much, everyone.
I have my book stuff. Do you want me to save that for next time?
Actually, no, let's hear that, sorry. I forgot about that already. What is the twist?
So
or
my work. Sorry, what?
whichever order you want to do, method and the twist. Tell
So
me-
my books tend to focus on unsolved crimes with little clues left behind. I guess the methodology is that they don't make logical sense the way that the people are killed. It's like there's not enough left behind to where anyone could assume what kind of individual did it, why. But the murders are almost always female. That's kind of what my stuff. And when I say a twist, I mean I take cases that I have studied, but I make them fictional.
Okay.
But I do tend to go towards murder cases and cases that are somewhat sketchy on how they happened.
Having read this, I imagine that Eddie in his head begins crafting his own tale to tell Helena, his own perfect crime as he's falling asleep. A great way for a murder to happen, a strange way for a murder to happen, the strange forces at work in this world that he knows about that are maybe too real. And his dream begins to write it, and his dream begins to create it, and he's in the middle of it. He's at once the murdered, the murderer, the witness, the investigator. He moves from perspective to perspective, and he is just basically stuck tossing and turning all night in this storm of imagined murder. And I will say that none of you end up having a restful night. And so that is where we will finish, with the tossing and turning and restlessness of you all.
Man. So good.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. That scene with Norman and Lucia, wow.
Yes. Yes.
That's easily my favorite part of today's show.
Yes.
Just Travis
Yes.
in the background.
Not done. Sorry.
Why don't we start with Trav then? Sorry, Scarlett, taking your job.
No, you carry on.
Your favorite scene, and where can we find you, and what are you doing with your life?
Hands down, it was Lucia with that poor nervous bastard. We got some good mob shit going on in this game. Also, I would invite any of our trusty viewers to research the significance of oranges in the Godfather films, and also grapes in the Whitechapel murders. My name is Travis Bowles. I just got done shooting 5 days of WebDM, which you can find on YouTube and Twitch, and that is me. I'm so happy to be here. This is electrifying and joyous, and I adore my co-players here, and I just can't get enough. I just want to jump into this world and swim around in it. It's fantastic.
All right, and Anna, who plays Helena, what was your favorite part today? Who are you, and where can we find you, etc., etc.?
I'm actually very excited about the information we found about the courthouse, about the witch trial, and the connections that I've already experienced, and the connections that I can kind of hope to experience concerning the blindfold and anything we can find. I'm assuming if Eddie is wanting to, that we could go to the library on our day off tomorrow and find some research secretly. So I guess that's it. I'm Anna. I'm __ ephemeroptera on Twitter. It's where you can find me. And then ephemera with 2 underscores on Twitch, which I will be getting back to soon.
Perfect. Alice.
Yeah, I loved this. I quite liked being badass for once. Like, actually, poor Norman. I enjoyed that, and again, the whole Travis. I like the whole thing with like the oranges and the grapes and stuff because I like details and things like that. And I really like the whole thing with like the witch trial that was there, linking into things. If it does, like, either way, I'm now invested. And I kind of like how close I came to shooting Travis. Like, I feel bad about it, but it was very, very close. If that had been anything less,
Yes!
I could have just ended up shooting Eddie. You're lucky I'm such a bad shot.
Yes, I am.
But yeah, no, this was really awesome. I'm White Rabbit Pick on Twitter, and I will let Scrap finish off everything, all the other links that I will be linked to, because it's exactly the same as him. So awesome. Thank you, Charlie.
Oh, yes,
And
but
Scrap,
before I
what
t-
was your favourite moment?
My
Go
favorite
on.
moment was definitely Lucia. Not only Lucia and Norman, but also like I thought you really brought it home early on when she found Marcus. Like,
Oh yeah.
as a keeper, I was bought in from that moment, and like I think that almost set us up for the Norman scene because I was paying more attention because of like, well, you're probably been shot to shit. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love mine as well, but it's confusing as hell, so it mildly frustrates me. Maybe people who are external to that might enjoy it, but I'm like, why aren't they here?
I did roll one success.
I don't
Not
think
one.
any of us did. Like, scrolling up through roll 20 is a sad, sad sight. It's a long time until you see a success.
It was awesome. They shot Sonny on the causeway. Don't you get it? My boy. My boy.
Charlie, before I do all the wrapping up, how about you? What was your favourite part?
I think my favorite part was that, for the most part, I didn't roll anything. I just decided whether they passed or failed narratively for a lot of things, because I think that's much more interesting, and I definitely want you guys to go forward and do the things that you want to do, and only call for rolls when it could go either way, and either way could be interesting. I enjoyed going down many scary and dark paths with all of you today, and getting small backstory things from all of you, I think. And yeah, I am Frost from Fire on Twitter and pretty much everywhere else. I don't really stream at the moment, but I used to stream stems, and I might start doing that again. But you can see me again on this channel, same time, same place, tomorrow for Wizards and Wardrobes, where I'm playing Dave the Kenku. And then on Wednesday, I am in Warhammer with Pruitt at 9 p.m. EST. And on Friday, I do roll up at 5 p.m. EST, 10 p.m. UK. And this week, we are looking at character creation in Warhammer 4E. And that's with the wonderful Jim Davis, which I'm really excited about. I just love getting to hang out with Jim, to be honest.
Yeah.
I couldn't have asked for a more wonderful cast, and I appreciate all the details you guys bring, and that you part with me as storyteller, asking you to tell the story sometimes, because I like the idea that we are a team on this. And I'm sorry that was so frustrating and Scrap, but the wild magic told me that all doors were closed today.
No. When I was getting frustrated, and as soon as you said it's like all doors are closed, I was like, oh yeah, and I was like, that's really clever. And like as a player, I love you. I think, wow, that's incredible. That's a really clever way to do it. It's just like as a character, I'm like. So that just leaves me, you guys. Let's get down. I'll go through and I'll actually talk through these this time. First of all, our social links. If you guys aren't already, you should become part of our Discord group. It's an inclusive, family feel society where you can talk about D&D if you want to, and talk about anything else if you want to as well. Our focus is on developing all players, really, of any ability or newity. There's another word that belongs in that sentence, but yeah, you know, we focus on you, so yeah, love it. Twitter, if you guys want to get in a game, I currently do 3 viewer games a week with space for up to 12 donkeys are aliens. If you guys want to get involved, you can send me a DM on Twitter, where we have 3 viewer games a week with up to 12 spaces for new players to come and get involved. So if you'd like to get in one of those spaces, just send me a DM and I'll get you a game. Easy as. And YouTube, we are rapidly catching up with YouTube in bursts. I'm doing it in bursts. We're getting there though. Next up, we have a Patreon. We are now a full-time service. So if you would like to support us, you could do so on Patreon, and it'd be very, very much appreciated. We also, to that end, have merchandise, and we are also currently running a competition for some of these. He says, checking them against the light to make sure they are actually rainbow-coloured. Some of these rainbow-coloured dice, which don't look very pretty on the camera, but by golly, you should go and check out that tweet where Alice has taken a professional photograph of them. They look really pretty. And that competition ends in 2 days. And then I'll be starting up another one. So if you want to get a chance to win the first set, you need to get on that competition now. That's me. That's me doing everything, guys. we are now a full-time streaming service. We are going to be back in 2 hours, where Alice is running Eberron. We run Mondays to Thursdays, 1 PM, 6 PM, and 10 PM EST, guys. That's the times we run.
There you go.
And on Friday, we run at 1 PM and 8 PM EST, but this 8 PM is every other week. So this week there will not be a show, but next week there will. Instead of being here, you should be over at Off the Table, who I will also give a shout out to, because you know what? They're amazing and incredibly underrated. So you should check them out too.
I can't remember if you mentioned it, Scrap, but another way that people can get involved is on the Discord. They can submit things to the Wild Magic table.
Yes.
And also, if you're particularly inspired by a game and want merchandise, such as Dave the Divine t-shirts for editors and wardrobes, there's a suggestion place for that too, and we acquiesce to most requests.
We do. Very recently.
More merch and more, hopefully, character merch as well, which would be fun.
Oh man, what?
I
We need an Eddie
reckon that
Steenbeck
could be
beach
fun.
towel immediately.
We can get you an Eddie Beach towel, I think,
Yeah,
Travis,
just
if
the
that's what
nose
you
and the
want.
glasses, yeah.
No home is complete without your Eddie shower curtain.
I know I can definitely
That's
do you a
staring
bed
at
sheet.
you.
Okay, I can definitely do you a bed sheet.
I really hope that everyone who was in chat today and has been in chat so far keeps sticking with us. I'd love to see any theories people have on Twitter and from the cast as well. If you guys have anything you want to throw at me this week, please message me and I will take care of it.
Special thanks to Charlie, who is amazing.
Yes,
Mhm.
agreed.
Agreed.
Mm.
So today we are not going to raid another D&D streamer. Today we're going to go and raid another stream that I very much enjoy watching. They are a British couple who do streams regularly throughout the week. They are full-time streamers. You'll often see them on the front page. They are Fremily, made up of Fred and Emily. So we will be on the way over now. When we get in there, let's think. What can today's thing be? Blood oranges. Florida oranges. Let's bring our Florida oranges with us. When we get in there, I want to see everyone spamming the hype with Florida oranges. I want Florida oranges all over the place. That's what we're going to do. So, thank you very much.
But that's just me.
Evoking emotions. We'll see you later.
Bye.
Bye.